X-Men. The movie franchise that has given us a roller coaster of emotions. Pride, joy, sorrow, sadness, dread.
That's
Ladies
our
and
entire
gentlemen,
commentary, folks.
Ladies and gentlemen, the X-Men franchise is many things, but consistent it is not. The continuity has kind of always been a mess, and it only gets worse every now and then. The movies range in quality. Like, it feels like here's the only thing that's consistent is the pattern. Every time it feels like the X-Men franchise is on the up and up trend, it has one or two terrible films to bring it back down. Case in point, X-Men 1 and 2 were considered good back in the day. Uh-oh, here comes X-Men 3 The Last Stand and X-Men Origins Wolverine. Okay then, X-Men First Class and the Wolverine are good, as is Days of Future Past. It's all going good. Uh-oh, here's X-Men Apocalypse to ruin your day.
But what about Deadpool?
Ah, people kind of tend to forget that Deadpool is a part of the X-Men
Even if
franchise
it's
because the movies themselves
even if
don't
you say
exactly do a lot to tether
even if
them
it's the
well.
same continuity, Dweebs, unfortunately, the narrative-wise, you can completely ignore it, as we have did so far. Don't worry, folks, we'll still get to them, which
Oh,
here as well.
absolutely. But
But
yeah,
here's
so
another
X-Men.
thing. Here's another thing, Java, to segue also into this movie. One thing that I noticed so far is that each X-Men movie has something particular to it. Like we mentioned, Apocalypse is the most average. X-Men Origins Wolverine is the most far out in terms of writing stuff like that. This one has the particularity of being the one with the most troubled development cycle to it,
And ended up being the most
for a multitude of
disappointing.
reasons.
And it
This
ended
was
up.
supposed.
I'm
Sorry.
sorry. It ended up being the most disappointing at the box office, too. Potentially in the
But yeah, for the
reviews as
title
well.
Dark Phoenix, not even the X-Men,
Yes, that's
labeled just
right.
Dark Phoenix.
To cap
This
off
was
that
supposed
Well,
trend.
in the UK and in DVD releases, they add the X-Men bit.
that's
Basically, to
nice.
cap off the pattern that I was mentioning, then Logan was a great movie, so what came after it? What is
too.
considered the most disappointing, if not the worst, of the X-Men franchise? This is what the series has been building up to. X-Men, whatever, Dark Phoenix. This is at the.
This was supposed to be the start of a new trilogy,
It
but
was.
yes, actually, it was supposed to actually, expand the X-Men universe to the space stuff, like the Shi'ar, with a character like Gladiator, for example. Of course, starting with the Dark Phoenix saga. But unfortunately, I could make a joke here and say that Disney happened, but to be honest, in this case, it was Fox who lent the first hand, because it was Fox who put its properties on auction, and then Disney took the bait hook, line, and sinker to it. This also meant the restructuring and re-rating of the New Mutants movie, and the complete cancellation of the Gambit movie. But to go instead for this one, so knowing now that this was supposed to be pretty much the last main movie of the main line X-Men franchise, we took an extra year to do reshoots and to bring in some people from Apocalypse, First Class, and Days of Future Past, the First Class cast, to give it a sort more conclusion. But as a result, this has a sort of Suicide Squad effect, where a lot of plot points are very confusing, a lot of plot threads are completely, they get trunked in the middle and they go absolutely nowhere. And without spoiling too much, let's just say that as a conclusion, it's kind of a poof more than a bang.
Oh, it
But
gets even worse,
yeah, go
folks,
on, Trevor,
but
before we start
okay.
the show.
Would it surprise you to mention that almost no one wanted anything to do with this movie? And
No.
mind you, this was before the whole Disney thing. Like, say what you will about how Disney buying Fox may have pressured Fox, the development of the movie was going terribly even without that. Nobody really wanted anything to do with these movies. A lot of the cast had been burned pretty bad with Bryan Singer. Jennifer Lawrence was especially vocal about how she wanted nothing more
And
to
I'll
do with
mention
these
this more
movies.
detailedly later, but let's just say apparently Michael Fassbender wasn't even liking to be on set here.
Can't blame him. Let's see, from 349 reviews, this one has a Rotten Tomatoes approval rating of 23%. That bad. And you want to know what's even better? This movie bombed more than Fan Four Stick did. It made less money than Fan Four Stick, which was also a movie that Fox...
And it cost more.
Oh, you want to know a funny thing? Fan Four Stick was also a movie that Fox made to keep the rights from falling back to Marvel Studios.
I mean, I would argue that this is technically a better movie than Fan Four Stick, but unfortunately, it's not saying too much. But whatever,
Yeah,
we can say everything later.
Yeah, I mean, at least Kinberg didn't get drunk and trash his home. Or
Oh, Kinberg. I have a deep respect for the man. I just want to know what happened. And hey, what better way to find out?
I know he's not that good a director.
I mean, he seems like a genuinely nice guy, but then again, so does Joel Schumacher.
All right,
anyway,
whatever. Let's get down to business. The Fox logo. So, without further ado, folks, fasten your seatbelts because we're in for one rough ride. 3, 2, 1, click. You know, along the way, I can definitely say my favorite of the mainline X-Men films were... Dibs, it doesn't have a Disney logo yet. Anyway, my favorite of the X-Men films is definitely First Class and Days of Future Past. My favorite of the Wolverine films is, surprisingly, it turned out to be The Wolverine, the middle one, which I feel is just the perfect middle ground between the two. And then...
Yeah, I'm surprised the X didn't explode there.
Considering the tongue-in-cheek jokes, I'm actually prone to forgive you, Dwibs. So, folks, want to see how we can do X-Men Free the Last Stand even worse, whereas Logan showed us how we can do it better? Look no further than this movie here.
Narration.
I mean, wasn't that The Wolverine?
No. Logan did the whole a lot of people die, including Xavier thing better.
This already we start with a bad thing, like pretentious narration from Jean Grey.
Like
1975.
Also, can I point out one problem? I mean, okay, maybe it's just me, but after a film like Logan, every film starring these characters kind of feels pointless because we all know they're gonna die. I'm not gonna say that takes away from the movie. Well, actually, no, it does feel like it takes away from the movie.
Again, like I mentioned in the end of Logan, Joe, it just makes me wish for an intermediate movie that actually explained to me what the fuck happened.
I mean, if we're gonna have him die, at least show us how it happened. But nope, here it's just gonna be this or that. Oh, I like that song. Please don't do me to this movie. Gene, last I checked, that's not in your power set.
No, Joe, don't you see? This represents the back and forth between Fox and Disney.
That's a very clumsy way to represent it.
To be clear, Disney only...
Oh, shit.
Anyway, Disney didn't... Okay, Disney hadn't bought Fox by the time they were ramping up post-production. All Disney did, really, was try and give the film a bit of a marketing push.
So, folks, this is gonna be a movie starring everyone's favorite mess of contradictions and plot holes, Jean Grey.
And combine that with the severe rewrites and reshoots. Yeah.
Okay. I think it bears repeating. Reshoots don't automatically mean a film's going to suck. Like,
heck, they're meant to be a good thing, actually.
By the way,
99% of all movies go for reshoots.
Just asking, what's the rating of the movie?
12.
PG-13.
Wow. They actually did a sort of realistic...
Well, you can push the boundaries a bit.
Oh, wait, you actually thought Dark Phoenix would be rated R? Oh, no, we wouldn't want to miss out on our PG-13 crowd.
Which clearly didn't care about this movie.
Oh, and I could tell already I'm going to enjoy Hans Zimmer's score. Yes, Hans Zimmer's doing another Marvel movie, his second one.
Well, let me check. Who's playing young Jean Grey?
From what I hear, Hans Zimmer's score was one of the few things praised about this movie. I mean, I guess it's no surprise that's one thing.
Oh, here's Professor X.
Oh, joy. Also, remember, folks, as I mentioned, one of the few things that's consistent about this franchise is how its continuity sucks. They either don't plan well in advance, or they just completely forget what they wrote in other movies.
If I had to guess, Xavier traced her with Cerebro and went to the location, to catch her up.
That's all well and fine. What isn't fine is what's about to happen.
Yeah, of course.
Tio,
Okay,
how did
I'll
they
give-
address
Hold on.
it? Oh.
I'll give
Yes,
James McAvoy. I'll give James McAvoy credit. Yeah, we did the whole thing of most of the cast didn't want to be here, even though Bryan Singer.
Yeah,
was
he's the one who's legitimately trying.
Even though Bryan Singer's nowhere near the set this time.
I mean, it was also a fact of this
Considering-
project being a
considering
mess,
what
too.
happened, considering what happened with Glass a couple of months earlier, I don't blame him.
Ugh,
Well,
yeah.
I mean, I do think Glass is a bigger disappointment than this movie, but well,
I
Poor
take them
man.
on an equal. Oh, okay, this one. Okay, now Charles is gonna have a metaphor about her powers with a pen. It's you think it's a Chekhov's gun, but no, it's a complete red herring. The pen doesn't come into the equation on the metaphor it represents in any shape or form later.
It's basically just Xavier doing one of his special speeches or metaphors.
I guess again, people speculate it was supposed to be, that the metaphor of a pen was supposed to be reincorporated in one of the first drafts, but when it was rewritten.
This just makes this all the more mess of a script. There you go, folks. We're barely in, and we're already having problems.
I mean, that's a problem. Also, I actually don't mind that this metaphor that Charles is doing.
The problem is that it goes
besides,
nowhere.
It actually does put him in a better light than in the previous movies.
you know what makes me sad? You know what makes me sad almost the most?
The last time we'll see the Xavier room, yes.
Yeah, if we're never gonna see it again.
And this is the last film we... Well, again, Dweebs, maybe we'll see it in the Disney rewrites, because, maybe they'll keep the old set. I mean, sure, there may be different actors playing them, but that doesn't mean we can't have that set again. I mean, hey, everyone thought we wouldn't see that set again after the original trilogy ended, and, well, it's back for this one.
So actually, I wonder. I guess these recruitment of Jean Grey happened shortly after Days of Future Past.
That's another problem with this movie.
Because remember, in Days of Future Past, it's established that everyone fucked off because of the Vietnam War, and Charles and Beast were the only ones remaining.
I think part of the issue is they're a bit unclear here and there. I'll admit
They did state a year, Joe, 1975. I just sadly don't remember what the year Days of Future Past takes place. Actually, no, let me be lazy. Let me check.
Yeah, we don't even get the CGI zoom in on everything intro this time.
Yeah, these credits are kind of lame. So yeah, as mentioned.
Instead, we highlight the O. Why didn't they highlight the X with the flames? Come on, it's kind of X-Men tradition.
Joe, they did that in the Fox logo.
Well,
Yeah.
I know that, but for the title here,
Also,
what's the
stock footage?
I get that, dude, but for the title here with the flame, what was the point of highlighting the O?
No, Joe, but don't you see that was highlighting the score some people gave this film.
Oh, boy.
Okay, yes, okay, I checked. The Days of Future events of Days of Future Past are in 1973, so it does check out.
Hey, Hank, is that you?
Now this is the NASA control room.
Oh, I know, it's just one of those speckled guys looks exactly like Hank.
This is because they're launching a shuttle in what is kind of more similar to the origin of the Fantastic Four, actually.
Now, if I recall correctly, this movie takes place during the 90s for most of its plot.
I think so. Still, we have technically the problem that the characters haven't aged that much.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I gotta say, the guys in their 60s at this point, they have aged.
Remember, Dweebs, just not killing Bolivar Trask, deviates the timeline this much.
Amazing.
There you go, 1992. And here's the set.
Well, a bit of it.
Yeah. And also, yeah, they're having their more traditional uniforms.
Again, those yellow costumes are
also,
so silly.
Yeah, there you go. We can, yeah, basically now Beast is just repurposed, the jet, the black jet, to be capable to fly to space. No questions asked. Just move on. Oh yeah, right.
Well, I mean, the last thing this film needs is an intricate scene about how they managed to get the shuttle into space. We have
Oh,
a shield and
boy.
activates by
Wait
the
for it.
Totally.
Foreshadowing.
Ooh.
Again, just to let you know, Jennifer Lawrence was the actor who had been vocal to be out of the movies for a long time.
Yeah.
But she did, and yet despite that, she did agree to come back for this one.
Well, it's
on
part
the
of a
proviso.
contract.
Yeah, my guess is she did come back for this one.
She didn't have a
on the
choice.
proviso.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Dweebs, here's the thing. She didn't have a choice. There's this pesky little thing called contracts.
Can you imagine, Jova, if in one of these scenes where we cut away, one of them involved the Fantastic Four from Fan Four Stick?
Oh, God.
I'll be honest though, guys. When I saw
Okay,
this film
what with this camera angle?
when I saw this film in the cinema back in June,
Yes.
of 2019, obviously, I honestly, okay, aside from one really dodgy line, we're gonna hear a bit later. I didn't think the film was doing that badly until we first see Magneto.
Also, yeah, in case you're wondering, yes, now the X-Men, thanks to the victory against Apocalypse, actually are a bit more appreciated and now can
Yay!
get more in collaboration with the humans. All
Ina.
fucking time.
I know, right? That's one of the few things this movie does good.
We're working on this.
That's
working on this movie.
Nightcrawler.
Working on this movie, of course.
Oh, you know, I'll admit,
Scott, that's not the time.
just gotta step us that those two are a couple to constantly put Wolverine in pain.
Yeah, but Wolverine's not in this movie.
Oh, he's somewhere.
Yeah, so-
he's probably out there somewhere just watching this silently.
Yeah, surprisingly enough, this movie actually doesn't rely on Wolverine, and I'm not sure if his presence will make things better or not.
I'm gonna put it like this. You know how I complained about the fact that he took quite a lot of delicate screen time that Apocalypse could have used in the Apocalypse movie? If they had had a scene dedicated to him, I would not have complained because his whole spiel in that movie, X-Men Apocalypse, is better than what we have to deal with in this movie.
I'm sorry. This really reeks of Origin of the Fantastic Four. Space shuttle going out of control, and I think 4 people for the crew, and almost to be hit by a solar flare. Come on, guys.
Wow.
Well, Fox did own the rights. So...
I know, but again, it feels almost like a wasted opportunity.
Well, funny enough, Simon Kinberg co-wrote Fan4 Stick.
Also, yeah, the jet as an option to amplify, Scott concussion blasts.
That's
because why not?
nice.
One thing I was worried about that Kinberg would forget. I thought he was going to forget that the whole cutting, whole laser beam thing.
Oh, okay, it's some Cruel 6. My bad.
Oh, hey, Storm.
And yes, the storm powers can work in space.
Now here's the weird thing with Storms. Here's a weird thing with Storms is here. You remember how it was all white originally? Now it's white but partially black, as if it's turning back to black.
At least they remembered that to make Quicksilver awesome with his super speed powers.
Yeah, it's like, hey, I want the helmet.
Whoop.
That's
Hello,
actually,
gentlemen.
I'll admit, that's a nice combination, combining both Nightcrawler and Quicksilver's abilities. Now, the movie's not off to that bad a start.
Yeah, it's like I said earlier, I don't think it gets bad till, again, aside from a really dodgy line, I don't think it gets bad till we first see Magneto. Okay, but here's my big problem with this. Here's one big problem I have with this movie. We're not going to see Magneto for a while.
So yeah, dilemma. The commander is trapped in the airlock, and the sword play is approaching. What should the right course of action be?
We should have Jean do it now. Just no. Jean has been...
No, I'm sorry. Actually, I have another question. Okay, Jean, you can hold the ship in order for it to not be hit. So why can't you just move it away? Just asking.
The script told me so.
The commander's in the ship.
No. Yes, but the goal is to not have the ship being hit by the solar flare, of course. So that's what I mean. Just move
If
it.
they move the ship, it could cause a bit of debris to hit the commander and kill him or her.
I suppose. Also, Jean apparently can breathe in space.
I think the problem is, like, it feels all too contrived just for means to have it be that Jean has to be the one who does it. Like,
there he is. Come on, let's go.
You're not gonna make it.
And there we go.
It's implied in this scene that this is how she gets the Phoenix
Force.
Ignoring the fact that she already had the Phoenix Force.
It's literally what defeated Apocalypse.
And Kinberg wrote that movie.
I guess you can argue this like amplifies her or something, maybe, but no.
In that case, well, T, if that's the case, then I'm sorry, this franchise can't make up its mind. Like, again, it's either she has all the Phoenix Force or she doesn't. You can't say that it amplifies it, otherwise then you're just going with the X-Men Free the Last Stand one, where she always did have the Phoenix, but it was a split personality.
She absorbs it. Not just that, there you go. Not just that. I hope you were enjoying the fact that the previous movie, starting with First Class, acknowledged the identities of the superheroes, and talked about them and their by name and stuff like that. Because this movie goes a step back and doesn't call the Phoenix Force with its name.
It's
not even
weird.
kidding.
It's like we're back in the X-Men 1 phase when they were making fun of the yellow costumes, despite the fact that, look at us now, we're wearing them full of pride and joy. But yes, now this is how she absorbs the
since you're the
Force.
more critical about special effects, what do you think?
In terms of special effects used in bad movies, they're not bad.
And since she's unconscious, she should be pretty much out of breath now. I mean, okay, look, when she is conscious, she can make a force field around her that allows her to breathe.
Just don't contemplate, move. There you go.
Again, she should have suffocated right there and then because she was unconscious.
Not to mention all the other interesting things that happens with the vacuum of space.
12.
God, this scene looks awkward.
We're going to try and have a staring contest with her eyes shut.
Oh,
she's alive.
Complete with the woman singing in the background.
Well, what do you expect, Jover? It's Hans Zimmer.
I mean, yeah, but gosh dang it. I mean, he's... Okay, to be fair, this isn't his fault. It's just, this scene is so cheesy. And not in a good way. Yay, X-Men, we love you! Hopefully nothing bad happens that makes us hate you again. Marry me. I love how one of the songs says marry me.
Actually, that's a good question. I wonder what Stryker thinks about the whole situation.
Yeah, that's right, Stryker. Oh, hey, a Mystique doll.
Mystique action figure.
That's naked.
Yay. You're the girl who has tried to kill a military general for a couple of years ago.
Wow, I mean, I'm amazed. People love even Mystique, who tried to kill the president. Well, okay, didn't try to kill the president, but tried to kill, a guy associated with the president. Oh, but now she's morphing back to that because... Actually, I have no idea. In fact, wasn't X-Men Apocalypse about her learning to be okay with the way she looked? Mystique
Jennifer didn't want to be in the makeup, Joe.
Mystique, pick a character, damn it. Oh no, I think there's a certain scene about to come up.
The party, you mean?
Yes, the party scene.
What the war class, Joe? I'd be happy about.
So if we're going by last stand logic, does that mean that Jean is going to try to lemon with the Beast? Because remember, kids, the Phoenix Force... Oh, yes, Quicksilver, of course.
It's the best thing in these movies.
Unfortunately,
again, if we're using last stand logic, the Phoenix Force makes you very, very horny.
Oh, crap, here we go.
Oh, yes. Yeah,
Oh no, it's this one.
he's right, you know, they really aren't kids, the people who are the X-Men. I mean, some of them are in
Oh
their...
no. Okay, be ready.
No!
What are you talking about?
This movie tries to give Xavier an ego. Again. But that's not even the biggest problem with this scene. He's got a point, you know.
He's right.
Yeah, apparently we're supposed to be on her side, but
Yes! That's what superheroes do! No.
What?
the last movie.
Yeah, maybe.
Lady, he lost
Hold
his
on.
leg. No.
Oh god, that fucking.
Ladies and
This
gentlemen,
is...
That's the line I don't really. Ugh.
I'm not sure
okay.
where should I even start with that line.
I'll start.
So,
Okay, this scene requires dissecting. First of all, Mystique, Xavier has a point. Like, it's called civil relations. You know the old saying a lot of us black folks say? You have to work twice as hard to earn half of what they earn. That pretty much applies here. It's taken you guys over 2 decades just to get people to love you this much. And you're just like, oh, we shouldn't be doing it to please them. Yes, you shouldn't have to be doing it. But all the same, though, it's just the way it is. And I know what you're going to say. That sucks, but you're heroes. You're doing a good for the society here and there. And it's their choice.
Not to mention, Charles pretty much lampshades the whole Marvel citizen, are so picky in that kind of sense.
Exactly. Again, it's like, yeah, Mystique, it sucks, but that's the way things are. But she takes it up to a whole new level here. The women are always saving the men. Yeah, no. In no X-Men film has it ever been the fact that the females have disproportionately saved the men. Sure, women have saved men, but never to a point where it's disproportionate. And besides, it's not like we ever hear anyone say, oh, we call it the X-Men because the men are saving the women more, because it sounds pretty cringeworthy and stupid when you say it out loud like that. And like I
We
said...
come to a point, folks, where the fact that the title X-Men refers to as in part of humanity, not male people, has to be explained instead of being a given.
And not
but on more on this scene instead, if you're a fan of classic Cyclops, good for you, because he's brought back also to having a broomstick up his ass.
and so young too. But then again, he did lose his brother to the Bryan Singer virus. Yes, I'm officially calling the deaths of the many people who Bryan Singer
I
axed
will
off
say
to be the
this,
Bryan Singer virus.
his relationship with... Also, here we go. I will say this, his relationship with the Jean Grey is better here than in The Last Stand and X2, I will say.
Yeah, I guess Scott actually gets to have more screen time.
Now instead, it's time to introduce what was supposed to be one more important thing in the previous in one of the previous writing about the movie, aliens. But I know what you're thinking.
The dog is getting very agitated. That's usually not a good sign in these.
Also,
kinds of
that's
movies.
Jessica Chastain, an actress which I saw the career and it has been pretty okay so far, not that noticeable, but I guess this was supposed to be her breakout. About that. But anyway, I know what you're thinking. Also, they're gonna be like the Shi'ar, to try to tie in also with the
was more a breakout.
to try to tie in more with the Dark Phoenix story. No, we're going with the Bari, a very forgotten race in the comics, led by a character who is even more forgotten.
Vuk, who literally only showed up for one comic.
And was male to I don't even know why they bother with the gender change. It's not in a sense that it's important, but the other opposite. It's irrelevant. So why should you do that? I don't get it.
Let me put it like this. This is the kind of casting choice where you think, okay, they obviously just looked these people up on Wikipedia and thought, let's use that character. So yeah, they are essentially body snatchers.
And there she is, Vok. In this case, assuming the identity of Jessica Chastain's character.
So they essentially just kill and replace.
Not to mention, I searched the images for Valk because I actually haven't read the issue where he appears in, but he looks nothing like her.
Again, this is literally a character and name only thing. Like, it's not as bad as the Cloud Galactus, but it's on that level of stupidity or just not giving a crap. So yeah, these people get completely axed to just take their identity, I guess. Okay, now here's one cool thing though. We get to see a lot of mutants
Dazzler!
using their abilities. Hi, Dazzler.
Played here by where she is, Halston Sage.
Funny, Tio. She seems to have Jubilee sparkles for some reason.
I think is Jubilee in this movie?
No.
So they had her in the last movie, but now she's
Maybe
just
their actress
gone.
wasn't available.
It's kind of a bit awkward, though. I mean, at least with Psylocke, yeah, her actresses wasn't available, but at least Psylocke wasn't established, be with them. But here, she's just gone. In the meantime, Storm has joined the X-Men, and yeah, that's all well and good. Yeah! I mean, maybe we should be a little more concerned for her.
Well, I mean, Hank's doing tests, so you think they trust him because he's a doctor.
Also, one last thing I want to talk about with that little exchange between Mystique and Xavier. Yeah, she says, oh, if you want to put someone in danger, do it yourself, like you've never given a sacrifice. Where do I even begin with how wrong that is? Okay, you know what? Let's look at the original continuity. Yeah, I'm gonna count even that. He pretty much gave his life on the line for that thing, suffered many a sickness that would risk his very life, and constantly puts his mind to the strain when using Cerebro. And that's just the Cliff Notes version of the original continuity. Let's talk about this actual continuity. Lady, he gave his legs to protect humans who were trying to bomb you. He was that selfless for both mutant kind and humankind. And then he gave up the use of his legs after with that drug during Days of Future Past, also to save your life. But let's not forget X-Men freaking Apocalypse, where he nearly lost his entire bout of being fighting Apocalypse.
There you go, Dreams. That image that I posted, that's what Valk is supposed to look like.
It looks like a giant teddy bear.
And here we go, folks. In this movie, they decided, hey, we need to give Xavier a character arc again, so let's make him have an ego again.
He's so stupid.
Xavier is never really the person to have an ego. Like, okay, it was fine enough in First Class because, he's supposed to be younger.
Another positive that I will say, finally, once again, we're seeing, just like in First Class, teenagers acting like them, what we're supposed to do.
Yeah, it is nice to see them all using their powers.
At a party they're not supposed to be there.
And they can use their powers too. Somebody call the police.
Oh no.
See, I see a woman. I see Marilyn Monroe dancing.
If that seems to you like Jean Grey is having personality disorders or hallucination stuff like that, don't. It was one of the drafts of that.
Oops. So it's kind of a heavy rain case.
Pretty much.
Oh,
Jesus.
But hey, maybe they'll actually establish the character of the Phoenix in this movie. No.
Oh, but Charles sense a disturbance in the force. Okay, bye.
I'm just hoping that for once something.
Well, he can't have that big of an ego if at the first time he feels.
I'm sorry, Dweebs. As you can see, Charles is just a selfish bastard.
Okay, I should probably mention, Dweebs, the movie claims he has an ego and tries to convince you he has an ego. That doesn't mean it'll do a good job of it, though.
I think this one.
He's literally being shown leaving the party at the first signs that he feels something's wrong back at the X-Men.
I think that person, Jova, was supposed to be one of the Duvari in disguise, played by Atto Esando.
Does not ring a bell.
He was in a bunch of. Actually, he's been a veteran for a lot of series. He's been in Away, Chicago Med, The Code, Elementary, Altered Carbon, Blue Bloods, Vinyl, Copper.
Hey,
Can't
Mystique, we're
recognize
going to
it.
use Cerebro, which you may recall was fashioned after you because it's blue like your skin.
That's so stupid.
Was that in First Class or?
That was established in X-Men Apocalypse.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it was in the 2016 Jason Bourne movie.
Oh, McAvoy?
No,
Oh, right.
Ato e Sando.
Poor guy.
Okay, so yes, folks, the problems of this movie are really starting to rise, as you'll see. Get ready, because we're about to have quite a bit more on our plates.
So let's see what's inside there with Cerebro, which is creepy.
Yeah, I mean,
How else are they going to figure out what's wrong?
maybe they could have worded it a bit better. Oh, whatever.
Or
that's
presented it. You're telling me that Cerebro is, presented to have to see the psyche of a person like this?
Yeah, in fact. Oh, you know what? Whatever. Continuity issues again.
Remember, Pedro, the butterfly effect? Now Cerebro is more powerful.
Yes, and again, Cerebro was now fashioned after Mystique's skin, thanks to that butterfly effect. Every day we stray further from God's light.
Okay,
But
maybe
yeah,
it's
now it's
shower.
time for the revelation.
I hate this.
She's remembering that she's been basically the cause of her parents' death.
Yep, that's right, her mind was wiped of that. Now you may be thinking, but Squirm, isn't that a pile of horse crap going off of how X-Men Apocalypse established things? And yes, you'd be right. Let me tell you the real reason why this is put in. To give Xavier supposedly an arc and show that his ways are flawed.
Turn it up, get down. Da, 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 da. Sorry. So let you understand this movie. You did some rewrites, as you will see later near the end, because of the release of Captain Marvel, but you didn't rewrite the fact that Jean Grey's father is still alive, despite the fact that Shazam did it in the Shazam movie did it in its plot line. Oh, Jesus Christ.
So, yeah.
Scott, some of the summers, watch out for the Jean. Did I do that?
Oopsie. But yes, you know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of one of the few problems we have with First Class. You know how that was made by a guy who went out of his way to let us know that he did not like Xavier, and that's why he made Xavier to be cocky and kind of a douche?
It's kind of funny, Joe, that this movie is taking basically all potential bad things from the previous X-Men movie. It's a celebration of the despite still not reaching X-Men Origins level of crapness. I don't get it.
It's just, again, this, why are we doing this again with Xavier? And worst of all, that's the thing, this feels like a movie that's about both Jean Grey and Xavier, when it really should be a movie that's about Jean more so, but then it turns into other stuff, and yeah, she just knocks him out. I guess that's...
at least she didn't make it dust. It only dusted him.
Yeah.
I guess at least this time Scott's actor, Ty Sheridan, was not supposed to appear in a Superman movie.
She's all desire, all rage and pain. Hey! You know, why...
Keep those phrases in mind for the actual resolution of the conflict.
Just, why did we remove the fact that the Phoenix is another personality within her? Like, even in the comics, that was a thing. Now it's just, oh, this big power that she can't control. You know the problem with that? It makes Jean come off as more incompetent with her powers, seeing as how at times she revels in this stuff.
That's the thing, Joe, but there's times where she's having trouble controlling her powers, and all of a sudden she can.
Yeah, again, it would make more sense if, it was a different personality, like in the comics, like in the animated show, and like even in X-Men Free the Last Stand. Like, there, it made more sense. But here, it's just Jean.
And unfortunately, this is also another thing. The whole thing that Charles did, basically biting him in the ass, that's basically the movie combining a retcon with a liar reveal situation.
And all
Just
just to try and
classy.
give Xavier an arc that...
Classy movie.
And like I said, all just to give Xavier an arc that he doesn't need. He really does not need this arc. He's already had this arc. It's pointless.
Okay, we'll say this. I will say this. I agree with Dark Lord Shadow in a sense that the Bari are very confused in this movie in terms of their action. But I will say this. Jessica Chastain's as the villain in terms of appearance and supposed menacing isn't the worst Marvel in general villain that I've seen in these movies.
Is it sad that that's the best we can say about her? Because, oh boy, Jessica...
Honestly, kinda yes. I mean, you can argue that Baraka is infinitely times worse or something, but it's more of betrayal and practical effect. The Vok is supposed to be a literal who, so on that level, the viewer, no matter where he or she comes from, is basically starting from scratch with, in this case, her.
Like, if you wanted to make a character who, you don't have much continuity or, you won't have controversy from the comics with, why not just make your own character?
Like I was saying, you have seen Shazam, so you know already where this scene is going, so...
Oh, joy.
Seriously, like, again, of all the things that you were written, why couldn't you do this? Also, let me check instead who plays Jean's father.
So yeah, Jean's expecting
Scott
a
the
nice.
Shepherd.
So Jean's of course expecting a nice warm welcome to her father after the whole business with the whole crash.
Oh, he was also in the Jason Bourne 2016 movie.
It's a reunion.
And also Bridge of Spies.
Bridge of Spies was good, but
it was also in El Camino, the Breaking Bad movie.
Oh.
Well, okay, here's the big question. Regardless of the dickishness of the writers to put Charles in this predicament, the real big question is, do you agree or disagree with what he did to Jean as a little child? The argument here, on one hand, is that he wanted to protect her from the trauma, and eventually, when she would have been, sufficiently grown up, he would explain to her. The counter argument is that potentially he should have left her, discovering that on her own, or the fact that he should have told her sooner before this, because maybe the times were right again, especially before her getting a solar flare to the face. So, what do you think, Libs, for example?
I'm not really sure. I can see both sides as side of things. But I'm mostly leaning towards in this specific case. I'm more leaning towards Charles because considering Jean's powers.
Yeah. Here's the problem with this movie. It doesn't try to do that. What it tries to do is act like he was completely in the wrong all the way. Again, to try and teach Charles a lesson. Like, movie. Usually you do have that thing that it's a gray issue, but here's the thing. Jean Grey is a mess when it comes to how she deals with emotions. We've had several movies to show that is the case.
Just be glad that they don't do the part where she joins the Hellfire Club complete with a bondage gear.
I mean, that was done better in the comics, but I fear to see it. Well, I mean, I guess the Hellfire Club are technically dead thanks to Bryan Singer anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is the problem. It's like, well, again, going off
Remember when Emma Frost was supposed to be important? Oops.
Well, Jean, you did kind of traumatize
Jean, don't try to go full Julia Roberts here, please.
Well, no, I think more like she's acting like Lara Croft at the beginning of Angel of Darkness.
Again, here's another problem. Jean has these, well, I hate to say it, but they are pretty much mood swings out of nowhere. And the problem is that, again, if you want to say it's Jean the whole time, this sort of implies that she always was unstable like this. Unless you say that it's a dual personality. I'm sorry, this gives Charles all the more reason why he kind of hid the truth from her, because if this is anything to go off of, Jean does not handle the truth well.
Two things. First of all, this reminds me a lot of Beyond Two Souls. But second, Reeves, this is a movie where, she's victim of somebody lied to her, betraying her supposedly, and there's an Hans Zimmer score. You know what that means?
Uh-oh.
He lied to me. He shot at me. He's using me. Virginity.
God, I hate this song.
I'm sorry, but it's supposed to be a dramatic moment, but once again, if you've seen Shazam, you'll see this scene already.
And this scene, well, this movie does it worse.
This is even, that face. This is stretched beyond belief.
Like, dude, we get it already. She ended up killing her mom.
Seriously, that face. Sansa, calm the fuck down.
Also, Jean, please don't fly off the handle after I just threw your mother's murder into your face.
Bonk.
It's not, the shaking is not from her.
Although she did knock him out.
It's from the jet.
Yeah.
Pay also attention to the location. We are in suburbia.
God, I hate it.
You're in a hurry. Why are you getting into your costumes if you're in a hurry to try and save Jean?
Also Xavier, in a very menacing pose.
Again, the Xavier we know would have handled this more smartly, but nope. Remember how in X-Men 3: The Last Stand, Xavier makes it a point that he wants to approach Jean rather carefully, considering how dangerous the Phoenix is? Well, here it's something we don't know, but let's all go in our uniforms and appear as menacing as possible. Like, Jesus.
Jesus, man.
Well, Jean, considering how you've handled everything, maybe he had a reason to lie to you. Like, don't get me wrong, I don't often support this kind of thing.
Sorry, Scott, the power boner cannot save you.
Especially not with the power of
police. Now the police arise for some reason.
Contrived reason to make Jean sort of lose her mind, because, gotta do that. But yeah, it makes no sense. Why are the police even here? It's not like her father called them.
Maybe someone in the neighborhood called them?
For what reason? As far as how would they have even known something was going on in there?
Or maybe it's because of they heard, oh crap, Robbly play lad dig at our street, call the cops.
I'm just gonna call what it is. Bad writing.
Poor Nightcrawler.
Oh, speaking of getting jobbed.
Not to worry, guys. Quicksilver will save the day.
Yeah!
And Beast has a taser for some reason.
Because we're gonna tase our own friend.
Don't tease me, bro.
This becoming reminds me of Justice League.
Yeah. Whoa! Oh no!
And he gets jobbed out of the film, folks. We will not be seeing him for a while.
Yeah.
Until the very end.
That's a sad thing. Quicksilver, who's often the best thing of this, doesn't even get to do much of his shtick. We see one scene of him doing it in space.
Mystique to try diplomacy.
Jean, question. Why do you want your friends to stay away? I mean, I get you being mad at Xavier, but why are you mad at everybody else? Like, what reason have they given you to believe that they don't legit want to help you?
You don't understand me.
God. I'll take Spider-Man 3's drama over this. At least Peter actually suffered some consequences that
I will pay to actually watch Sophie Turner doing the silly dance.
Yeah.
You're sounding just like him.
And I hate that. So, you die.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm finally free. I mean, oh no, I've been stabbed.
Without having done pretty much anything through the entire movie, Mystique dies very unceremoniously.
Maybe, wow, did Jennifer Lawrence really want to leave that badly?
It's also,
yes.
As Dark Lord Shadow noticed, it's kind of funny that she dies pretty much the same way how Logan dies.
I mean, except Logan's death was built up throughout the whole movie.
And this is going to cause quite the
Beast
friction.
of,
Oh yeah, that's right. Beast and Mystique sort of had a thing. It wasn't really built up that much. I mean,
More
okay.
like it no, it was
Really?
just in a creepy
We're
way.
not even
Yeah.
45 minutes. It's wait. Actually, no,
Charles is shedding the sexy tear.
that bit's gone down pretty fast.
Oh,
actually.
she
We're
said
43
it. She
minutes.
said it. She said it.
Yeah.
I love you.
Also, yes, Dweebs, I will agree with you. The pace of the movie, for one thing, it's actually quite fast.
And not in a good way.
It's like they wanted to get this over with.
Pretty much.
Jennifer Lawrence really wanted to get the. Oh my god, look at the look he's giving! I know it's supposed to look like he's in pain, but it looks like he's trying to hold back laughing.
Actually,
honestly.
it's looking very confused to me.
I love you, Raven.
Well, I mean, someone dying. One emotion that would run through my mind a bit is confusion.
I suppose.
mean, it's just a terribly shot scene. And yes, this is a definite mistake, but almost immediately, boom, on to the next bit.
Yeah, Megan,
But
this is
that,
Simon
remember
Kinberg's,
that the fact that Mystique hasn't done anything in the movie. She's giving some orders here and there. It's kind of sad after everything
this
that
was-
happened
this was
in
Simon
the previous
Kinberg's-
movies.
This was Simon Kinberg's debut as the director.
Oh
shows.
dear. Simon Kinberg has always struck me as a guy who tries to do right by franchises, but man,
I
oh
mean,
man.
He just can't manage it.
Do we know if Bryan Singer was supposed to be the original director before you know
Singer-
what happened?
Singer announced after Apocalypse that he wouldn't be coming back.
Okay.
Probably for the best.
I mean, considering how the production for Bohemian Rhapsody went down.
Also, Beast, get a fucking umbrella, dude. It doesn't. Again, it
He has
doesn't
to
make the
show
moment-
that it hurts him the
It doesn't
most.
make the moment dramatic. You're just catching fucking pneumonia.
Oh, and let me tell you, I have been out in the ring without an umbrella. That ring can sting the eyes.
Well, would you look at that? Nightcrawler with a suit actually doesn't look that bad.
Also, Storm, I'm so sorry that your idol is dead.
Also, does Storm have a point in this movie?
Actually, she doesn't even bring up the fact that she looked up to Mystique. You'd think if anyone would have something to say during that funeral, it would have been Storm, but no, it's
kind of
like we
funny.
magically forgot.
One of the things that they didn't point it out in Apocalypse was the scene where Apocalypse is strangling Jean was actually used for one of the promotional posters, and people freaked out. So Fox had to remove it quickly.
Say, guys, what happened to that Dazzler girl? I feel like she was around. I hate to say it, but Storm's right. She doesn't have the whole other personality thing to fall back on. Like, as far as we know, Jean is just terrible at handling the truth. And I'm not gonna say that, everyone around her hasn't been, all peachy and keen and all. But I'm sorry, when you have a power set that high, you can't blame people for hiding certain things from you when you know this is the end result.
No, I wonder what he's thinking. I think he's thinking I went from Mad Max Fury Road to this.
So, Hank, how are you coping?
Well, he's sitting in the dark looking at his glass, so I don't think he's coping.
Yeah, I think Charles has the right idea.
Either that or that's James McAvoy just trying to get through this.
This is like the second horrible superhero movies this year. I mean, I hope my career gets better.
Oh, yeah, we're counting Glass as a superhero film?
Technically.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Glass is worse than this.
Debatable. I mean, okay, don't get me wrong.
I
Glass.
would say this, Java, I have more enjoyment with this movie than with Glass, so that has to count for something.
Wow.
Even if it's just, making fun of it.
Guys, I know we haven't played this game in a while, but let's play the Blame Xavier game. This is all your fault, Charles. Okay, yes.
Never mind the fact that Hank has stuck with Charles for so many decades at this point.
Okay, look, yes, Charles hid the truth from Jean. That's... Wow, the way he reads that line is just terrible. Again, Spider-Man 3 handled the drama better. Like, you know that scene where Peter is confronting Sandman? Like, that scene actually conveys the emotions a lot
Which
better.
one, Jova? The one in the subway where he smashes his head on a subway train?
No, the bit where he says, "What does it matter to you?" And then he responds, "Everything!" What? Okay, guys, I don't know about
So
you, but this
meta.
is getting very meta.
Actually, Jova, the most meta this film gets is near the end.
Oh,
That
I
too.
know, we know, but yeah, that's another thing about this movie. It feels like they thought, hey, let's go out making meta jokes, which...
Remember, this was supposed to. When they were first shooting this was supposed to be the start of a new series.
Yeah.
And yet, while they were still doing some reshoots here and there, the Fox Disney deal was still being. It wasn't complete at the time, but it was still being it's still being processed and all that.
Anyway, but yeah, here's another problem with this movie. The movie tries to act like, oh, this is all Xavier's fault. Okay, all Xavier did was hide the truth from Jean. From what we've seen,
People
he
are
had a pretty
forgetting
good
she
reason
just
to do that.
even not counting that, Jova, we are not counting the fact that her powers have been basically boosted by a solar flare that no one was expecting to happen, nor no one was expecting to hit her at that point.
Yeah, like...
Also, yes, the Davaris are basically infiltrating high positions of the government because that cliche is not tired. And in order to show that the Vok is powerful, we're gonna have to sacrifice Jean Grey's power for no reason.
And you know, look, I get that
I'll
he
be right
was...
back. I'll be right back.
I get that Jean Grey's father was kind of a jerk to her, but considering the trauma he suffered at her hands, I can't
I'm
blame
honestly
him for...
convinced Jova Weaver did this just to showcase the effects on a semi-important character instead of on a literal Who.
Which, okay, that's all well and fine. The problem is, like, he's literally used just for that, and this scene about to come up.
Actually wonder, what kind of platinum blonde would you prefer? Well, not for this role, but in general, Jova. Jessica Chastain, like here, or Tilda Swinton, whatever, I forgot what the second name is.
I'm gonna say Tilda, if only because I feel like she has a better angle on this sort of stuff. Jessica here, okay, I get that you want to try new things, and you know what? I have no problem with that. It's just the end result we got. It feels like she can't decide whether or not she wants to go for stoic but strong, but then there's other scenes where she goes for something
Also, yeah,
screwy.
her powers are very generic when you get down to it.
Sir, why did we need to kill him? I mean, if anything, it's only gonna draw suspicion.
Because I need to show how evil I am.
Okay.
Also, I gotta love her power is basically just having YouTube poop effects. But anyway, it's about time at the tail end of the X-Men franchise to finally get to Genosha. And it's so underwhelming.
Genosha's supposed to be like this high-tech island
A
city.
gigantic metropolitan utopistic city where Magneto built himself brick by brick to guarantee a decent enough future to mutant kind. And here it's an Amish community. Not even joking.
You know what this movie feels like? This movie feels like one of those ones that goes out of its way to piss off comic book fans for no reason. Like,
I mean, I dread to think what the direction would have.
Yeah.
Genosha. I would dread to think what the direction would have been if you wanted to asteroid X.
So,
Yeah,
you want to
okay,
talk
this
about
was-
people who wanted nothing to do with this
And here
movie?
is
Dwibs. How about
Michael
this guy?
Fassbender.
Okay, one thing I'll say first is that when I saw this film in the cinema, it's like I said earlier, when we got to this bit, this is where I thought the film was really starting to fall apart.
Well,
But,
now that we've
halfway through.
addressed a lot more, we've seen that the movie is falling apart way earlier. But yes, this is where
Even
things...
second time, yeah. Okay, to be fair to Michael Fassbender, he is still as good as always.
He's
The
trying.
issue,
I would say this, but I sort of disagree in a sense that you can clearly see also from these initial scenes with him that he clearly doesn't like to be on the set, and it's going to be apparent so much better on
well, I
later.
mean, I mean, to be fair, unlike the Snowman, this film was actually completed.
For better or for worse, honestly. Like, and would you really call it completed with how much a mess it is?
What, the Snowman?
No, this movie.
Well, that one was a mess too. Yes, but I did help fix the problem last time.
So, guys, Magneto has finally, for reals this time, found peace in his life. For
Totally.
reals.
We freed so many characters in your life already. Do we want another one onto the pile?
Oh, boy.
Thankfully, it's not. Magneto doesn't get free.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, he doesn't get fridged, but Mystique gets fridged.
To be fair, it's not in regards of Magneto himself.
It's you. Are you...
Again, I will say this, Jova. The death of Mystique does not progress the character of Magneto.
No. It doesn't
towards the other X-Men.
It doesn't progress his character, but it kind of motivates it in this
suppose,
movie. Hey, not just his character, but several other characters. But more on that later.
Yeah, that's the thing about this. Okay, one reason why I don't really even agree with the Hans Zimmer score being a good thing in reviews, it's just the same droning thing all throughout the fucking movie.
For all we know, maybe that's what he was directed for this movie to give. I mean, I guess when people praise his music, it's one of the few things that's consistent. Oh boy. So, remember how a few minutes ago he was like all comforting to her here and then? Now he's about to go full-on interrogatory with her. You won't like me when I'm angry!
This summer, Michael Fassbender is Jason Bourne.
And Jean Grey is the Hulk?
By the way, this person is supposed to be Celine Gallio, a telepath, a mutant.
So shouldn't she know what's going on? So she's a telepath. Shouldn't she know what's going on? Nah, she's just here for eye candy.
She's played by Colta
I mean, she does sense the military coming.
You know, I love how that scene goes, whose blood is on your hands, Jean? Oh, wait, I gotta go? Oh, I'll be busy. Make yourself at home, Jean. Oh, the United States Army is here.
Okay. You know, this would be a good time to showcase Stryker, but whatever.
It's like this movie forgot he existed, which is kind of a bad thing considering how I guess we're never going to establish how Wolverine found his way back to the Academy.
And for that matter, what happened to poor Sabretooth?
Yeah! We're not going to address that either. Whoa! The US government actually gave Magneto land too? Wow, they must really like the X-Men concerning the crimes Magneto has done.
Mind you, she said a couple of minutes ago that she was afraid of killing and she didn't want it to do.
Oh boy, here we go.
Yeah, this brings up another problem with the film I noticed. Throughout this movie, it's shown Jean has a hard time controlling her powers, but as we're going to see in a bit, suddenly she now knows how to control her powers.
Which is, again, part of why
it's like there was a scene missing.
Well, you know, was there a rewrite where originally the Phoenix Force was, you know, the actual different personality that it's supposed to be? Because that's what this movie feels like.
We don't know that.
I mean, it's only heavily implied, Jova. That's pretty much it.
Here's the thing. Everyone tries to say that this is all Xavier's fault. Here's the thing. All Xavier did was lie to Jean about that. If Jean chooses to take it out on the world, that's her fault, not Xavier's.
Now Jean, for no reason, decides to move an helicopter on her own because...
Yeah,
because
like she suddenly knows how to control her powers.
And okay, I'm sorry. Jean has no excuse. This is just acting downright evil.
No, don't you see? Charles accidentally threw a toy helicopter at my head.
Oh, here we go. It's this scene. Pay attention to Michael's face.
Oh, no. So...
it's time for the legendary screams.
Get this. Magneto's actually trying to save the humans for once.
Right, Magneto, you're taking a huge shit.
Okay, Michael Fassbender, I want you to look like you don't know what you're doing while you're standing on an outhouse toilet. And yes, brilliant.
Get to the chopper!
Again, I love how Magneto is actually trying to save the humans. Again, now look, if this were, say, like X-Men Free the Last Stand, which
Also, Magneto, can't you just order to any one of your subjects to tackle it?
I guess, to be
No?
fair, she might turn them inside out for all he knows.
I suppose. Whoa!
You know,
So,
I thought you earlier. You already said that thing, Jover, about this is all her fault. You know, my idea was, no, Charles threw a toy
Get the fuck
helicopter at
out
my
of
head
here.
when I was younger.
I need your help. Yes, after I tried to kill those people for no reason, I need your help.
Yeah,
Like,
Magneto ain't buying this.
Jean, what did you think was gonna be his reaction after that stunt?
Well, hey, she's very polite. He tells her to go, and she goes.
Okay, here's another problem. A lot of the characters in this are downright dicks. Like, Mystique is an absolute asshole to Xavier.
Charles.
Jean is pretty much a dick to everyone. It
Hank is
says
a character to Charles.
it
The
says
DC
something
Charles.
when I feel like Magneto is one of the more level-headed characters here. He's not supposed to be.
And like we've said in the previous movie, the problem here is that Magneto should be just left the fuck alone.
And yet, here's the thing. The one time where Magneto is in the right, this movie's gonna treat it like he's in the wrong, too. Well, okay, there are certain points where he is in the wrong, but let's just say it's not as simple as you think
So
it
let's
should
see
be.
how that security line with the president is holding up with Charles.
Sorry, Xavier, we hate you.
Well, what he said earlier came to pass. What incident?
And yet, apparently, we're supposed to side against him. But here's the thing, though. Okay, sure, there was a casualty. The thing is that it was a mutant casualty. It was one of their own. It wasn't like any humans got hurt or killed, so what the hell?
I thought it was Ian McKellen for a second there.
This movie, it's so contrived. So yes, the world hates mutants again. Way to go. Yeah, Mystique, Xavier told you so.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the average representation of the audience, so give me another.
Oh, hey, Vuck. You know, it's what...
Funny enough, guys, my cinema sells alcohol.
Oh, there must have
Really?
been a lot on hand for this movie, then.
I don't have any.
Actually, I have another question, Dweebs.
Hmm?
How many more people were in the cinema room with you?
I'd say the cinema was about a quarter full.
Still better than what I expected.
I guess, to be fair, for a short amount of time, people were hyped for this movie for a very short amount of time.
And for
Unfortunately,
another
then
of
the
the
film came out.
and another for the scrapped plot lines of the movie, the idea that Vok was supposed to be a representation of the Phoenix Force, an imaginary friend that Jean was having, and was whispering her to tell her to do bad things. But no, Vok is pretty much real.
You know what? You know another thing. This film, well, not just this film, but this film helped to screw over
What?
Go on.
Fox.
Eh?
More than
This
usual.
film, basically, okay. By the time the film released, Fox was owned by Disney, so Disney were the ones releasing this movie, and the
Mhm.
film flopped so hard at the box office that it caused Disney to suffer a kind of a loss. Although to be fair, quite a lot of that was the cost. It was how much it cost to buy the studio and all the stuff
Yeah.
in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
But
It was
because
pretty much a hot potato to begin with.
because of how badly this film flopped, along with a couple of others that came out around the same time. Oh, the most profitable film up to this point from them was a religious movie. Not saying religious movies are a bad thing.
Oh, hey, Scott, you're still a thing.
And
Go on.
this film flopped so badly, along with a couple of others. Disney decided to scale down a lot of Fox-related stuff,
Ah, yes,
Except
and
for a
cancel a lot of other
except-
projects, right?
except for a select few IPs. I mean, they're keeping Fox Searchlight Pictures around because that's their B movie, indie film division. So
Does Death on the Nile, are included in that. I know that it's still being made. I just want to know if the
Yeah.
division is
So
there
yeah,
or
now
not.
Hank's had enough. Hank's defecting to Magneto's side.
Yeah,
He's
that's.
just that fed up with Charles, I guess.
Oh,
Okay,
and
I know that in the comics Beast has jumped around to any team in the Marvel universe, but this is ridiculous.
Wait,
Come on.
Beast.
Magneto. So this is Magneto's
Oh
own
boy,
personal
here we
school
go.
community, except it's more of a sanctuary. He has people around the world find them and say, "Go here, it's safe."
So yeah, remember how I mentioned how Mystique's death is going to motivate
Yeah,
more
he has
than
no-
just one character? Yeah! Mystique's death now motivates Magneto to get back in on the action.
Yeah, 'cause
Just like
Magneto-
X-Men Apocalypse!
Magneto said, "Oh no, I have no reason."
Oh no.
He's like, really?
Yeah,
One of the few people I care about now is dead again? Is this really how I'm going to get constantly dragged back into this?
yeah. Again, this is something. Look at Fassbender. He's giving us all here, and yet
I mean, when you get down to it, it's such an old trick at this point. We've seen it before. Someone Magneto really cares for dies. He goes on a warpath, has to learn eventually forgiveness and a lesson, and all in that. Blada, blada, blada. Ugh, vey. It's really hard to care at this point because you know how this is gonna go. And no, don't even try to imply that this movie would be ballsy enough to not go through with that. It's X-Men Dark Phoenix. At this point,
Also, are
we've
we in
checked
New
out so
York
many
now?
cliches.
I don't know. The film didn't really establish. It's just a city.
Jeez, you know, the one of the few times I would love the giant words in bold to tell us where we are, and you don't give us that.
Not like
Welcome to
Civil
my
War.
personal orgy
Just-
club.
Just,
I'll
just,
bend
just,
over.
don't do it like Civil War did it. I mean, we get it, guys.
It's kind of funny, Dweebs. Apparently,
Context.
according to the reports, one of the original draft of this movie was supposed to be very similar to Marvel's Civil War.
Wow. Let me
Despite the
guess.
fact that it has nothing to the storyline of Dark Phoenix has nothing to do with that.
Let me guess. Two halves of the X-Men team all fighting against each other over what to do with Jean.
Pretty much.
It's more like a custody battle if you put it like that.
So yeah, Vuk is here to teach Jean Grey all the ins and outs of her
Jim-
powers.
Joe, I keep thinking when you say that, I keep thinking you say like that's the character's name.
It's almost like Vuk was a stupid character to
I mean,
choose.
if it wasn't for the fact that Vox's appearance here is a facade because it's an alien, I guess I could potentially ship the two, but I don't know. There's not enough chemistry.
I mean, again, what was even the point of picking Vuk? Vuk was
We're
a
not
character
gonna
who...
call her the Phoenix Force for some reason.
And again, usually that force
And no one
chooses...
spotted them.
Here's the thing, that force
they did.
usually picks people for a reason here. In the case of the Phoenix Force, I'm gonna go out for the X-Men animated continuity, where the Phoenix Force took over Jean to help bring balance because there was a giant war incoming here and there. That's pretty much the overall idea, you know, and then basically she had to supposedly sacrifice herself, but she ended up surviving. What happened was that this caused the Phoenix to go be driven crazy and to want freedom from the tasks here and there, which then brings on the Dark Phoenix arc here and there, where the Phoenix is the one going crazy and all that.
But apparently in this movie, the Dark Phoenix has the power to destroy or terraform planet by its own will, I suppose.
That's not how the Phoenix Force works, and that is clearly just a ripoff of Thanos
So
with the whole
basically-
dusting.
Basically what-
Star Trek 2, yeah, it can create.
Basically, what Vok is saying to Jean is that, yeah, the Phoenix Force sucks because it destroys our world, but now this is in your power. If you terraform planet for us, so we're basically gonna make you our god.
Also, I love how they're giving her costume from X-Men: The Last Stand. I mean, it's a clear
Yeah.
throwback to it.
Well, again, Joe, considering Simon Kinberg co-wrote that movie.
I'm gonna say it. X-Men: For the Last Stand handled the Phoenix better than this. I get that this is closer to the comics, but that doesn't change the fact that it's stupid.
Problem with Last Stand's one is that the Dark Phoenix was barely in it.
But at least the Dark Phoenix made more sense in that movie. Here,
Did
the
it?
Phoenix. Well, that's the thing, though. Like I
Compared to this
said,
one, I suppose.
Again, let me put it like this. In X-Men Free the Last Stand, they explain that it's a different personality within Jean. Sure, it's the Phoenix Force itself doesn't have the personality, but it's a dark personality called the Phoenix. So it makes sense that she flies off the handle, but we wouldn't want to also lose sympathy towards Jean.
This is the second... Sorry, go on.
Here, every time Jean has done something evil,
she was in New York.
Oh, there you go.
This is the second time they try to take a live-action stab at the Phoenix saga. I wonder if at this point not even the MCU can do it right.
Okay, I'll give credit. The MCU can handle that. If the MCU could get Civil War right, they could probably do the Dark Phoenix.
But Icarus Marta, we're not gonna try for a long time.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you know my issues with Civil War, Jervis.
But it's time for another.
Trust me, James, I have issues with it too. But I'll just let you know, James, this movie...
Yeah, that's Sebastian Shaw's helmet.
Yes.
Didn't we got lost?
Yeah, in fact, they literally took it from him
back to the island and picked it up.
They literally took it from him at the end of, X-Men Days of Future Past.
Symbolism.
Now, maybe this was the helmet that Apocalypse gave him. This would make more sense.
Because Magneto put on his helmet and Charles took his own.
Hi, we're still a thing. That's right, folks. Hank's off to try and kill Jean Grey. It's another one of those rounds of heroes fighting other heroes. Don't you enjoy that?
Yeah.
Okay. I will say one thing. Since we're comparing this movie to other superhero movies that do certain parts of this plot.
Mm-hmm.
Go on.
At least there is somewhat more. I'm not saying there's that much better, but at least there's more of a reason to believe BVS.
Yeah. Anyway, Dribs,
BVS, they just fight because Lex Luthor easily manipulated them.
Imagine it at the climax, Charles is like, Martha! And he's like, how do you know her name?
Yeah, and then the other... Fox Martha. Again, what city are we supposed to be in?
New York. Yeah, remember the telepath of Magneto told us that.
Okay.
So this is Central Park, I guess?
Also, Dribs, to clarify what I was saying, when I say that Civil War did it better, what I say is it handled things a lot better than the comic. Basically, the comic handles Civil War in a very bad way, which ends with the pro-registration side winning.
By the way...
I love one bit Magneto says in this scene.
Oh yeah, pay attention. This is another one of the highlights.
Yeah. Save the old friend shit.
That face. There we go.
Oh god.
Well, considering the box office, no one did.
Okay, I get where they're coming from with that line.
Apparently, one of the actresses, I think Jean's actresses, said that one of the male actors at one point stormed away from the set very angrily, and it seems that the clues point out at Michael Fassbender.
Yeah, you wanted Jennifer Lawrence was one thing. She mainly wanted out because she didn't care for the whole prosthetics that she had to put on her and all that. But Fassbender...
Oh, by the way, just to let you know, out of all the Brotherhood of Mutant that Charles had on Genosha, the ones they bring are the telepath, Selene Gallio, which is in the comics as well, and Ariki, a person who has moving dreadlocks, so basically Omega Red, but not really.
I'm guessing this was more of a distraction, so he can get in there and kill her.
And just what we need, more fighting that makes people hate the mutants all the more by causing collateral damage. Hoorah!
When was the last fight scene in this movie?
In Egypt, in Apocalypse?
No, in this movie.
Oh, the...
Way back.
The Suburban one with Jean, I guess.
Yeah. And again, here's the problem. I'm sorry, but a lot of what Jean has done is all on her. At this point, Jean is kind of a villain. At best...
Storm, what the fuck are you doing?
No. one thing that is kind of fun is that I can make excuses in my mind as to how G can flip this to blame Charles. Like, no, you don't understand. Charles Xavier used to take me to
He used to take me to Baskin Robbins. That's why I hate you now.
No. Fuck, I forgot the name of museums about space.
The the Space Museum?
No, the proper name. Spacerium? No.
And now it's time for Magneto to do the trick he did also for Apocalypse.
No, don't you see? He kept taking me to space
Storm,
museums.
I'm sorry, what the fuck are you doing?
You're supposed to be more powerful than this Storm as established by the Apocalypse plot. God, I hate the continuity in these movies. It's just, it feels like these movies flip the bird to continuity so much, and that wouldn't be a problem if they weren't so dead set on being considered a cinematic universe, because continuity is a thing that cinematic universes kinda need. Also, what is even going on with the music during this scene?
It's Hans Zimmer.
Okay.
I mean, it sounds like Hans Zimmer if he were drunk.
That is kind of cool.
True.
But why a subway car? But why?
It's to try and get the others out of his way, so he can get in there and kill Jean.
Oof.
You know, wouldn't it be funny if at this point Jean is just long since gone? I'm pretty sure she's probably heard all that stuff outside there.
Do you have a time to talk about our Lord and Savior?
Oh, never mind. There she is. So, Jean, what do you have to say for yourself? Really, we're going back to that stupid scene.
It's important.
No, don't you see? It's all Xavier.
I'm gonna do that slowly. Look at how slow I'm doing it.
Don't you see? It's all Xavier's fault that I'm like this, because he stabbed me in the back, so I stabbed Mystique in the back.
Okay, why do you need to go for the eye? Just stab her in the front lobe.
I guess he wants to be vindictive.
Oh, crap.
And mind you, this is all Jean acting on her own accord. No split personality or anything.
Now she's... I thought she was force choking her, but no, she's using the...
She's using the helmet. So, not the Sebastian Shaw helmet.
The last thing from First Class.
It's so symbolic.
It's like
just... we can't blame Bryan Singer this time.
Dibs, I don't mourn the death of a helmet. Oh.
Oof.
Ow.
You know, in reality, maybe this whole vengeance path thing wasn't as good as I planned. Well, I guess it's my turn to bail everyone out again. Whoop.
Whoop. Hello. Oh, time for another very goofy scene. Just watch.
Michael, I failed you. Oh, sorry, wrong movie.
Yeah, whoops.
Whoa! Poor Nightcrawler.
Oh, by the way, I'm just here. Hello.
Yeah, Hawk.
I was in Zero Dark 30 nearly 7 years ago.
She's not your little girl anymore. She's mine now. I always wanted a girl.
Again, the way these scenes are paced, they're trying to make you think that Valk is not real, but she is. I'm sorry.
You know, it's funny, you know, seeing how this movie reminds me so much of stuff.
Watch this.
Oh yeah, this bit. Okay, I get what they're going for. You know, she's treating him like a puppet on a string, but it just looks so silly.
There are no strings on me.
Okay. I mean, I know that this is supposed to be an uncomfortable scene, but this is just freaking hilarious.
Yeah, like I said, I get what they're going for. Puppet on a string, but it just looks funny.
And
Not just that, I don't know what you think paraplegic people feel, but they feel nothing even less. Charles is not supposed to feel pain from this.
yeah, like, did the people just forget how paraplegic people work?
Maybe she's implanting pain in him.
That's stupid.
Well, I'm trying to give this movie some leeway, but unfortunately, that's all I can do. Try. Besides, it's not in the script or what's shown on screen anyway.
This is the kind of game where there are
Yeah,
no winners.
Again, so there you go. The supposed metaphor with the pen was pointless because we didn't even brought it up.
Oh,
So,
maybe it's a mistake.
oh my god, you mean the guy who cared for me all these years actually cared for me all these years, even he may have lied?
It's a bit more to this bit, actually. No, yes, no.
Oops, turns out your dad always gave up on you, and that's why Xavier may have hidden that from you. It's almost like as a girl you may not have been able to handle that. And I get what some may say. Well, just because she's a girl doesn't mean much. I'm sorry, have you ever tried actually explaining this stuff to a preteen?
Again, yeah, to be fair, Sophie Turner's trying as well. It's just... Well, okay. What was worse? What was the worst thing Sophie Turner was in this year? This or the season finale of Game of Thrones?
Ooh, that is tough.
I still say this mostly because Game of Thrones has a foundation that just got ruined at the end.
Well,
It's
so
a bit
this.
yes, Reeves, but it's a bit more complicated than that. It's the lack of a source material.
Oh, wait, is this it?
I love these.
Okay,
Stars.
so originally the climax was supposed to be a fight in space. Apparently, though, thanks to Captain Marvel, thanks Brie Larson, the executive Fox thought that it would have been too similar, so they had to revive with something else.
Was
So
that also
what did
Tom
they did?
Rothman?
No, Tom Rothman was long gone from Fox at this point.
Oh yeah, now he's at Sony. Yeah.
So at least,
So they had to redo some.
and then they
special-
kissed.
I'm now against. Oh wait, no, she's giving her the.
Yeah, Buck is
How
trying
do
to
you
absorb
know
the
how to
heat,
give
but
her that? Oh wait, that's right. Buck can just.
Not just
absorb
that, as you can see by the pain on her, it's clear that it's a sort of last moment resort.
Oh, look at
So,
that! They have
yeah.
magical guns that can turn off the powers. Geez, those would have been great to have had during the Apocalypse movie.
But we haven't invented it yet.
So what are you gonna give her? The kiss of death? You can't get any more Godfather than. Oh my God.
So what are you gonna do next?
Okay,
put her
I
in a-
want
put her
you
in a
to-
boat and then shoot.
Okay, I want you two to look like you're making out.
Yes, Vok, you're supposed to be evil, I get it.
Is she supposed to be evil? Because this movie seems to suggest that she's
that's the
doing
thing.
it for some greater
Out
good.
of nowhere, Vok decides that she's gonna terraform the Earth. No reason at all.
Now, I think they were trying to establish something about how they're from some race or something that needs the Phoenix Force, but
Yes,
no,
like you said, we need a planet, but we can easily terraform Mars, for example.
but nope, they got to terraform Earth because evil.
Heretics.
You know, for absorbing the power of the Dark Phoenix, she got
Yeet.
easily blasted by Cyclops.
Well, apparently she wasn't done. Now she needs the rest of the
Oh,
power.
so it's like a computer program. If you don't install it fully, it doesn't count.
Vox powers don't really
But
have
who are
much.
these special police force?
Oh joy!
Well,
I
we haven't seen the
wonder.
names. We haven't seen the names on the sides clearly yet. We will do in a bit.
I wonder.
Also, let's have the most
Must be a
inhumane.
corporate force.
Let's have the most inhumane technology, by the way. Collars and everything.
Zap.
And why do we have this scene? Specifically just for the new climax.
Yeah, we just need
Yeah.
to pick the mutants and bring them to the new location.
They
It's like in
conveniently
Final
did not find Buck, by the way.
It's
Yeah.
like in Final Fantasy X.
guys, we are here to collect the mutants and take them away. And an audience will not believe what they're called, who the guards work for, what their organization is called.
Oh god. I mean, maybe if this were a good movie, I'd laugh at it, but I just cringe. I cringe
I can
so
laugh.
bad.
But yeah, as you can see, Vok also has some minor Phoenix Force in there now.
I'm a bit annoyed by this.
Yes, folks, our climax is on a train.
Woo! I mean, don't get me
In
wrong.
Vancouver Forest.
MCU.
My
Yep,
kid used to be a fan.
the Mutant Containment Unit.
The
yeah.
MCU.
It's like how Screen Junkies had the end of the on their honest trailer for this film. The MCU stealing the X-Men.
Except, here's the problem, though.
There's being on the nose, and then there's where to get the fuck out.
I mean, here's the problem, though. This joke doesn't work because Fox have no one to blame but themselves for how this movie turned out. Like, here's an idea, Fox. Maybe if you made this movie good enough to be endearing to the fans, you wouldn't have to get rid of this continuity. Like, I mean, the fact that Disney are allowing Deadpool to retain his continuity shows that if you do a good enough job, they'll be willing to keep it around. It feels like they just spent this movie trying to be as vindictive as possible.
Oh yeah, by the way, Beast character arc is complete now. For some reason.
I'm surprised. Honestly, Joe, what I'm surprised at?
Yeah, what?
I'm surprised there wasn't a Kevin Feige lookalike as the leader of the guards.
That would have just crossed the line, honestly.
Maybe someone should.
Oh, look at that, guys! They crawl up on there like vampires. I don't know what's going to show.
Eric.
Excuse me, Simon, didn't we already shoot the ending?
Well, we're going to have to reshoot it all over again. And this time we're going to shoot it on a train instead of in outer space because, well, Captain Marvel did it and that's kind of soiled the image, so now we're doing it on a train. We're totally going to beat Endgame with this.
Well, I mean, if they were since they were specifically saying Captain Marvel, I mean, that space climax in that film was just kind of bleh. So
yeah, but
maybe this one could have done it better, but we'll never know that now. So
yeah, again, the way Fox handled this is so bizarre. Like, so what if the MCU had a space battle? They've had plenty of space battles. The idea is to just make it interesting.
Yeah, this is the most bizarre scene of the movie, and that's saying something.
Also,
you have guards, you have people taking the X-Men away, literally called the MCU.
In a climax scene that was rewritten because they were afraid of people, I guess, comparing them to the MCU.
Also, despite being on a train, we're still in the middle of not Vancouver, but still a Vancouver-like forest. So, oh yeah, the Dabaris, they were a thing.
Okay, to be fair, as climaxes of films go, the train scene is actually kind of okay.
Oh wow, I guess the machine gun is useful against the Dabari.
Well, they're not, like I said, they're not mutants, so... Oh shit.
Oh no, the MCU! It's going down!
Did you see, stuff getting a bit out of control. I got it. Yes, so making parallels. The first bit was Disney taking them away. The attackers are Comcast trying to take them away themselves.
Yeah, with the whole counter deal.
Yeah, then Disney countered that by making an even bigger offer. The Comcast were like, yeah, no.
Yeah. And let me guess, the end is a whole parallel to the fact that Disney in the end took most of it, but not everything.
Yeah. By the way, you guys can't hear the TV.
No.
So let me get this straight. The machine gun was enough to take out a guy up on the roof of the train, but this guy, no, he can just regenerate that back now.
Maybe this one's impervious to...
Oh, never mind. That downed him now.
High caliber bullets, Jonah.
Machine gun?
Yeah,
I guess it's just, it feels like they're a bit inconsistent. Human shield. Whoa! Well, that guy's back is gonna be broken. But it's okay, now they're all freed.
To kick ass.
Take names.
it's like I said. I just thought of something. I found another parallel between.
Guys, Hank is now protecting her like Raven would have. And I love how it's just in time for the effects to wear off.
I just realized another parallel between this and Van Stick.
What?
Oh.
A reshot, a lot of reshoots, including the climax.
It's funny because, like I said, Van Stick was made so that the rights wouldn't go to Disney. Oh, the irony.
Yeah. By the time this film came out, the rights were already back at Disney, but Disney had to release this film because it was.
Hey, Storm! You remembered you can actually do something.
I would say, despite everything for this movie, the climax fight is legitimately fun, just for the sake of the X-Men going full Dynasty Warriors.
I guess part of the problem is that at this point, it's about of too little too late. It's sort of like Lone Ranger. The last 13 or so minutes of Lone Ranger are flipping amazing.
It was also on the train.
Yeah, I'm gonna argue that Lone Ranger did it a bit better.
Oh no!
Now, okay, to be fair, Lone Ranger is a better movie, but it unfortunately was still mediocre because they spent way too much of it making fun of the Lone Ranger's mask here and there, and making it more about Tonto than the actual Lone Ranger. Which
also, Jova, they killed the red shirt. Oh no.
Yeah.
So what? Maybe. Okay, who's a famous MCU character that's red?
Iron Man.
Yeah, Iron Man.
Yeah. That was supposed to. Actually, no, there is no similarity.
Except for the fact that they're both.
Nightcrawler, I don't feel so good.
No, you have to make it, friend. You have to make it.
No,
I feel much rage on this 9.
And now he's angry.
You won't like Nightcrawler when he's angry. Yeah, that's the thing. Nightcrawler's kind of just been the mellow guy.
In the last movie, Nightcrawler finally becomes what his father, Azazel, was.
Oh snap! He gets to be
not the other red shirt.
Oh crap! And I love how she held her arms like, "Don't worry, I can stop the."
Okay.
Maybe would have been better if it was Thomas the Tank Engine. Dun, 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 dun,
No,
You know,
Tia, that's not the right. Tia, that's not the theme anymore.
It's funny, Tio. There's actually a Resident Evil 2 mod that replaces Mr. X with Thomas the Tank Engine. But yeah, that's the thing. It's
look, they're being created with their powers.
See, this is what the movie should have just been. If you want to go out, go in a blaze of glory. That's one thing I'll give Lone Ranger over this. Sure, Lone Ranger ended up being mediocre as well, but at least that film felt like it was at least trying to just, be a fun movie. Whereas this again felt like it wasted its time, precious time, on trying to be all angst and drama. That it did terribly when it could have been this. Now this is the kind of movie I want.
This wasn't the original plan.
And yet, if the movie had been on this quality, I still would have liked it better.
Crushed, just like the box office.
Fuck off.
I guess we can assume that stops them too.
So it's actually good.
Okay, this is attention train. This is Feige Helicopter 1. Repeat, this is Feige 1. Come in.
So Vuk, your whole
Why
plan
is the train still moving despite the attack?
So Vuk, your plans have kind of been derailed every now and then, and you're just I guess now she's angry. I guess yeah. Vuk doesn't really get to portray a lot of emotions, and I get what you may say. Oh, but her species doesn't show emotions. Yeah, I'm sorry. It's the fact that she doesn't seem to really react to stuff, and she can just all of a sudden do that now.
Remember, she has absorbed part of the Phoenix Force.
Have I mentioned the fact that the Phoenix Force is not explained well with how it actually works in this movie?
I call this cop to the Feige 1, so...
But doesn't that mean that Feige's in trouble then, and that Feige's now dead?
Well... maybe that was a parallel for how much he was fighting with Ike Perlmutter.
Or maybe how poor Feige was trying to mend the relationship between Disney and Sony around the time.
This film came out like a month or so before Far From Home.
Alright, round 2.
You know the problem with characters like Vuck? You don't really get any satisfaction with them getting beaten because Vuck doesn't react, like, at all. It's just, oh, whatever, my plans have failed, I'm still gonna go
look at
forward here
this,
and there.
Like in the first movie.
Da da da.
Except this time, they only get all at one person.
Nothing personal.
I guess you need to get more high caliber bullets, I guess? I'm sorry though, I mean, with that amount of guns, you think that amount of guns all pouring on her would be the equivalent of those high caliber bullets?
Also, yeah, Jeannie's over it. She just
Yeah.
needed a nap.
That quickly.
She just needed a nap.
Let's not
You
forget
know,
all the...
With movies this disappointing, all I can do really is laugh, because if I don't, then I'm just going to be a curmudgeon, and that's not very good commentary.
It's sad, isn't it?
Yeah, but yeah, we have to show some enthusiasm otherwise.
So, movie, are you just going to admit that your whole spiel about this all being Charles' fault was kind of pointless? Because if you are, yeah, you should have gotten that idea a bit earlier. Like, you know, that's another thing. Was this also part of those script rewrites? Because now it feels like the movie's admitting Charles was more in the right than he was in the wrong, despite the fact that
It's
the
like
movie's
the movie
been...
saying, okay, sorry, it was my fault. I'm sorry, guys. It was a joke.
It's like the movie forgot it's been pounding into our heads, oh, this is all Charles' fault.
Maybe Kimberg realized, oh crap, what have I done?
How much... Okay, did Kimberg also have a writing in this?
Yeah, no, he wrote and directed this film.
What happened? I mean, he's never struck me as this incompetent. I mean, usually, yes, he's been involved...
Maybe he's just not a good director.
It's weird. He's been involved with some of the worst things ever, but I never got the inkling that it was his fault, but maybe it is.
It's like David Goyer. He's capable of doing...
I am Jesus.
Why am I floating?
The awesome music is playing, that's why.
Ow.
Ow, ow, ow. And no reaction from Vuck, so why should I care? Like, you want to play up someone who's stoic, that's fine, but there's not really any satisfaction to have to this, really.
Don't worry, guys. The MCU is going to take us away.
To a better place, I hope. Jesus Christ.
Plot twist the first X-Men. Yeah, that'd be the saddest thing if after all that time they make an X-Men movie and it turns out to just not be that.
Okay, we done here?
Okay, and this is symbolism.
Are we done yet?
This is symbolism from all the carnage that the Disney buyout caused to Fox's film schedule.
You can see the Mega Man movie there. The Assassin's Creed sequel.
Oh, there's the Gambit movie.
You can see Die Hard. You can see Die Hard 6 just behind them.
Okay, maybe they spared us something with Die Hard 6 because from what I've heard of Die Hard 5
was attached to it.
And attached to his corpse is a note written, "This will be the hill I die on. I want this movie made, even if it kills me."
There's the Magic the Gathering movie.
And not just that, all the messing around Disney had to do with the schedule. Yeah, sorry guys, we had to move because of the train crash. We have to fix Artemis Fowl. It caused us to delay it.
And hey, now Jean solves everything, kind of making the rest of the cast pointless.
Well, I don't feel so good.
Yes, just like X-Men 3 The Last Stand, so I guess they kept that consistent with her power set.
That scene also takes place in something that was blown up recently. Yeah, I did it! I killed her! Oh fuck, I forgot. I wonder what this would have looked like set in space.
I think it would have been a bit different in space.
Yeah. I mean, here is just a single Devari ship. Probably would have been entire
Oh,
fleet.
hey, Vuck, you're still a thing. I'ma run at you now. And try and reabsorb it, I guess. And now it looks like she's getting high on it. Okay, Jessica,
You said you wanted my power.
Okay, Jessica, stop me if you heard this before, but we're gonna do a 360-degree shot.
Simon Kinberg's not British, by the way. This is normally a British style of directing.
Oh god, they're doing the Hulk 2003 thing.
Mm-hmm.
You want this power? Take it! Take it all!
See how it makes you feel.
Does that mean that Jessica Chastain will have to bite an electric cable?
I mean, she did absorb electricity from Storm, so there you go. Jean, remember who you are! That
Or
is
would
you in
choose
there.
to be? Yeah, she said it.
You know, maybe I should move us a bit to a safer place.
Maybe. Actually, couldn't Nightcrawler technically do that?
Well, no,
But
not
it's
cool.
okay, because now Jean can control it.
Oh, fuck
Oh
off.
my God's sakes, you are not a Star Wars movie.
Just kiss already.
Also, Vuck, you've got some nerve trying to say that her emotions make her weak, seeing as how she was clearly able to control her powers better. But now it's time for Jean to sacrifice herself for
With a horrible
Totsuyo.
CGI effect.
Even though we know she's gonna survive thanks to the end of Days of Future Past, so pointless. Oh,
Fuck
God.
off, Disney. And that's it for Buck. What a tragic villain in the worst
Oh, and
possible
look at that!
way.
They're trying to pay homage to the Phoenix Force. Screw you, movie. Screw you with an iron sprocket.
I thought you were gonna say Iron Fist, but I'd be like, no, dude.
Oh, look! Hey, look, guys. She looked like the X-Men symbol for a bit there.
And Phoenix, of course.
But we still can't name drop it, even though that's what the freaking title is named after.
Hi, Birdie.
We're still not going to establish your actual character here. You're literally just a force of
Don't
power
worry,
that
guys.
could infiltrate anyone.
Don't worry, guys. We'll do that at the next movie.
Oh.
You know, when you get down to it, anyone could have gotten the Phoenix Force when you get down to it. Imagine if it had been Storm who
Ooh,
just happened to
which
be
is-
out there.
I forgot to
Professor X
draw
got
that.
it.
Actually, there's an event called Avengers vs. X-Men where a couple of the X-Men get the Phoenix Force. There's Cyclops,
Free of what?
at least there's Cyclops, but I don't remember the other ones.
There was Cyclops, there was Emma Frost, who Cyclops was having relations with at the time. Basically, it culminates in Cyclops killing Xavier.
Yeah.
Oh,
Completed
and
the whole Cyclops was right.
oh, it's also the storyline where Storm and Black Panther got divorced. Because we can't have any married couple, says
Also-
Marvel.
What's this?
Jean's grave.
No, it's not a grave. No, they renamed the Jean Grey School.
This is stupid.
Again, we'll never see Jean again, guys.
Well, in this continuity, we won't.
Actually, we do. In X-Men Days of Future Past. But, hey, not everything's all fine and well because...
Actually,
Yes.
it is really.
Storm's a teacher. Well,
We could have at least got
yeah,
Wolverine.
okay. If we are
Yes,
carrying
we
stuff
will.
from this film to this one, can we have this actor play Quicksilver in the next?
So, get this now. Yep, Hank is now the headmaster of the school, which means Xavier just retired. What?
I can buy Hank being the headmaster because he's.
Okay, here's the problem, though. Xavier,
Wasn't there a better photo to use?
Xavier, I get that Hank has learned a lot, but you do realize that Hank spent a lot of this movie on a psychopathic rampage revenge against Jean. Just saying, maybe wait a few years to see if he's emotionally stable for this. But no, Xavier's now retired, so now we're just left to wonder what the hell he... So what the hell was... So what the hell was he even doing at that institute, which, if I recall correctly, was still referred to as the Xavier Institute at the end of Days of Future Past?
Different timelines, Joe.
No. The end of Days of Future Past is from this timeline.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, I gotta say, I made a great living as the world's youngest 60-year-old.
So something must have gone wrong since Xavier's back at the school and, you know, the one leading it again at the end of Days of Future Past. Something you want to tell us, movie? No.
I do like this ending in isolation.
It's nice. It's just...
I do. It's just... This is how we're ending things out. Arguably, Apocalypse final shot with the Danger Room was the mere conclusion.
Like, here, it ends on Xavier retiring, which I kind of feel is a bit wrong. Like, why would Xavier retire? What, because things are getting tougher now? And have we even established that the government are okay with mutants again? Like, last we left on it, the government were having the MCU take them away. Are we to assume that they're now on better terms with them now?
Disney changed it.
I don't... It's sloppy.
I mean, silver lining, I guess it's better this than Comcast getting the rights.
Oh god, that would have been even worse, yeah.
And so, the X-Men...
And just...
decent shot of Paris?
Yeah, but it feels depressing.
Like, okay.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit more...
It's not triumphant or anything, it's just...
Oh, there we are.
There.
Oh, look, guys, the Phoenix Force is still alive. What a shock. Your movie sucks. Oh, boy. How to do this? Well, I think I'll just start off with my thoughts on this series as a whole before working my way up to Dark Phoenix. Like I've said before. What?
Minus Deadpool, we haven't done those yet.
Right, minus Deadpool. So, X-Men 1. You know, it was nice coming back to that, though I'll admit, it has not aged the best, and it is very awkward in hindsight about how it takes pot shots at the typical superhero stuff, like the yellow costumes, only to later incorporate those yellow costumes itself way later down the road. Big oopsie. X-Men 2 is definitely still a great film, but has also aged kind of not the best, and is admittedly not as exciting as I remembered it to be. Ironically, X-Men 3 aged better, but is sadly, unfortunately, still the weakest of the original trilogy. X-Men 3, I feel like, does raise up some actually good, interesting issues here and there. It also feels the most willing to be a superhero movie, being bold, action-packed, but also having interesting messages to tell. What didn't work out the best was the execution. Although, irony be irony, it handled the Phoenix a lot better than the actual Dark Phoenix movie. But I'll get to that when I reach the end of this timeline here. So, after X-Men 3, The Last Stand, it couldn't get any worse than that, right? Right?
Nope.
Wrong! In comes what is still arguably the worst of the X-Men series, though not by much admittedly, X-Men Origins Wolverine. Okay, you were making a movie, a solo movie about Wolverine, one of the most awesome comic book characters in the comics and in your movies with Hugh freaking Jackman. This should have been an easy thing to make awesome. And yet somehow they crapped the bed.
I guess it really is a curse, like having Skip Woods as a writer.
It really is. Like, you think even with Skip Woods that they would be able to make magic out of this, but no. All there is a river of crap. Like, Wolverine doesn't get to be that awesome. Deadpool doesn't get to be that awesome. Sabretooth doesn't get to be that awesome. Nobody really gets to be that awesome in this. Not even poor Gambit, who is now kind of out of a job until hopefully Disney brings him back. Like, God dang, this movie just did everybody dirty here. And yes, this movie somehow insinuates that Stryker got away with killing a government official and imprisoning and torturing kids. The first time, mind you, before the second time in X-Men 2. Jesus Christ. So, after that bout of trash came what is arguably one of my most favorite movies in this franchise, First Class. Yeah, I mean, it's weird. First Class used to be one of my lesser favorite ones, but now it's grown to be my favorite. It's aged pretty well. It has quite possibly the best character interaction, minus stuff like Pixie all of a sudden... Sorry, not Pixie, Tempest, even though she really should just be called Pixie, all of a sudden becoming a bad guy out of nowhere, despite her friend being killed by said bad guy. Poor Darwin getting the lower end of a shaft here and there.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, seriously, talk about wasted potential. But aside from that, it still is a pretty phenomenal film and is definitely one of my favorites. Speaking of favorites, another one of my favorites comes right after it. The Wolverine. Yeah, that's right. I remembered that the Wolverine exists this time. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna say it. The Wolverine is my favorite of the Logan movies. Not that there's much competition from the first one, but I'll admit I liked it even better than Logan. Like, the Wolverine feels like what we should have gotten from the get-go. Wolverine just getting to be awesome here and there, and hey, it's in Japan, a country that he's well familiar with. It's got some laughs, it's got some good action here and there. Weird stuff they did with the Silver Samurai, just making him an Iron Man knockoff. Even weirder how they made Madam Viper a thing. But hey,
that's the thing. She's not even supposed to be, man. She's supposed to be a legit mutant, which is confusing as all fuck.
But hey, at least she still gets to be awesome, despite as confusing as that is. And Wolverine finally gets to move past his grief phase. Good character development. And just in time, too, for the final of my favorite... I like to call it my favorite 3 of the franchise. X-Men Days of Future Past. While that one does sort of start off Bryan Singer kind of fridging characters that weren't his own, it still is definitely one of my favorites. It's the movie that allows the classic X-Men cast to have something of a good send-off here and there. Getting to finally be awesome here and there, despite the fact that a lot of them get brutally killed and all that, but I digress. The humor is definitely pretty off the walls. Also, I love how we have a callback to the F-bomb that Logan gives to Xavier by Xavier giving it right back in his face. It's definitely, I think, James McAvoy's best performance as Xavier. Beast is great here and there, and it's actually interesting to see a version where Mystique goes back to being a hero of all things. Despite the fact that she kind of betrayed Xavier, but hey, water under the bridge, water under the bridge.
Adults.
So yeah, after X-Men Days of Future Past, well, as you recall, the pattern being that every time there was a rising streak of success, there had to be something bad to come. Well, okay, after X-Men Days of Future Past comes X-Men Apocalypse. Now, keep in mind, folks, at the end of X-Men Days of Future Past, Xavier pretty much is telling Logan what happened in between the events of Days of Future Past, and Logan regaining his consciousness to the point where he's now a professor at the school. Which kind of hurts his continuity in the long run, but as we've established, this franchise sucks at continuity. Anyway, enter an X-Men Apocalypse. This should have been the equivalent to Thanos, the equivalent to Infinity War and Endgame. Well, oh my god, what happened here? They messed up big time. Big time. Multiple subplots, way too many subplots. You have Jubilee here, only to do nothing with her, even though she's even more front and center than before. It's like, talk about a tease massively. Doesn't help that she completely vanishes in Dark Phoenix. Speaking of Dark Phoenix, yeah, Jean uses the Phoenix Force to defeat Apocalypse, which kind of feels like it takes away from some of the stuff the other peeps get to do, but hey, whatevs. Really did not care for how it reintroduces Storm into the plot, seeing as how her being Apocalypse's horseman makes no blipping sense. Poor Angel just gets massacred and killed. Psylocke just wanders off at the end.
Yeah, we'll never see her again. Maybe she went to the same place Sabretooth went.
Yeah, maybe. Oh yeah, that's right. Speaking of which, Logan's in this movie, and he gets to be quite possibly the best
He's
thing
like,
of this
I'm in
movie.
the movie, bye.
Yeah, just to remind you, we got Hugh Jackman on our salary. Come and see Logan. Yeah, X-Men Apocalypse is just a mess, and while it can be fun to watch, I don't consider it a good movie because it really didn't. It's sort of like X-Men Origins Wolverine. It messed up what should have been a slam dunk. Granted, there was the problem of rushing into Apocalypse all the same here and there, but all the same, it feels like the anti-Infinity War, whereas Apocalypse is just one of many subplots going on instead of being the thing that everything revolves around, which it should have been. Shame, because Oscar Wilde really does seem like he's giving it his all, despite of how uncomfortable his set as Apocalypse was. Oh, and once again, Mystique has trouble sticking and choosing a character arc. I'll get back to that later with my final thoughts of this movie. So, after X-Men Apocalypse comes Logan. I'll admit, maybe I was hyped up a bit on that. It wasn't as amazing as I thought it was going to be. That said, it was still an amazing movie all the same. It's just that I do feel like maybe it's a little too down in the dumps, like, holy cow, can it get depressing here and there. That said, though, it's a nice way to cap off the character arc of Logan here and there. Shame about what happens to Xavier. Oh, and Caliban. Poor Caliban. Man. That said, though, Logan was a good movie. So, that again brings me to our final thoughts of Dark Phoenix at long last. Okay. I'm just gonna spoil it right now. This movie is horrendous. Like, if it weren't for X-Men Origins Wolverine, I consider this the worst movie, and I still consider it the most disappointing. Like, yeah, I know it's weird to say, but even though it's technically better than X-Men Origins Wolverine, it does a lot of things worse than X-Men Origins Wolverine still. Like, at least X-Men Origins Wolverine managed to focus on the character at hand. Dark Phoenix seems to lose focus on what Jean actually is. I mean,
Joe, if I can raise a debate, Origins Wolverine is the same movie that brought in Cyclops for no reason.
What I mean is, I was talking more so about Wolvie's character development, focusing on that. Whereas Jean's is all over the wall, where it's 1 minute, oh, she's a scare teen, next, she's a pretty vile villain, to next, oh, she just needed a nap. Okay, where to begin? Okay, I guess I'll start off with some positives here. The effects do look good. The final train scene is nice.
The MCU
What do you think of Jessica Chastain as as Vought?
Oh, that's definitely one of the downfalls of this movie, but I'm trying to think of positives. Okay, I guess to be fair, Jessica Chastain does seem like she's honest to God trying. Of course, I could kind of say that for most of the cast here, minus Jennifer Lawrence, who definitely seems like she does not want to be here. Which is kind of fair, seeing as how she's been incredibly vocal about wanting out of this series. Yeah, okay.
Like I said, what about the MCU guards?
I mean, it's
the
like...
Mutant Containment Unit.
It's like you said, Dwibs, that is either gotta be one of the most petty and spiteful jokes you've ever seen, or one of the most amazing fourth wall gags. It's really hard to tell. I guess I'll just put it as perfectly balanced.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised their boss wasn't named Lieutenant Feige or something.
It would have been probably too on the nose, and Disney would have probably sued.
Well,
no,
would Disney be able to sue themselves, though?
Well, more like the people who made the movie,
Even better. No, I got an even better one.
What?
What if the guy who was the boss of the boss was, I don't know, called General Perlmutter or something?
Okay, that might have been okay.
Colonel Iger.
Colonel Iger, General Perlmutter, Commander Feige. That could make for a what if. But anyway,
Get on that, Marvel Studios. Do a what if of the Disney executives being dressed up in those guard uniforms.
but yeah, anyway though, yeah, that sadly I think kind of concludes my positives. If I can think of anything else, I'll try to bring them up. But that's just this movie in a nutshell. Like, again, I had more fun with X-Men Origins Wolverine. Like, I'd say this. X-Men Origins Wolverine got more positives out of me. Like, you know, at least Deadpool being Deadpool before the whole Barakapool thing. Like, at least the awesomeness opening scene, the actual origin scene with all the wars. There, I've already listed more positives from X-Men Origins Wolverine than I could for this movie here. Like, this movie
That's sad.
this movie is just stuck in the negative zone. Okay, let's just start from the beginning here, folks. Mystique is a terribly written character. Like, okay, like I said before, part of the problem with the continuity is Mystique's character seems to change from every single movie. But in this movie, they completely made her have a 180. You remember how in X-Men Apocalypse she was all about Xavier needing to be more open with the mutants and about mutants helping save the world? Well, in this movie, she's all about Xavier risking the lives of kids, 20-year-olds at youngest, but nonetheless, risking the lives of kids, and yeah, that kind of completely immediately destroys whatever character she had in the previous movie. Then she goes on this tirade about how they should call it the X-Woman. That's right, folks, this is what we've been building up to. She thinks they should be called the X-Women, even though that doesn't make a lick of sense, because supposedly women have been rescuing men more so, which has never ever been the case disproportionately, I'm afraid.
Okay, you can argue that Jean saving the day in Apocalypse can counter that, but it still doesn't change the fact that Mystique's, hot take at that moment makes no sense regardless.
Yeah, and again, I hate how they once again give Xavier some arc about having to get over his hubris or how it's all his fault. Like, gosh dang it. Of all the things I didn't like about First Class, they brought that back. And for no reason either. But Mystique, oh boy, Mystique is just terrible in this. And the worst thing is that she doesn't even get a chance to redeem herself because, guess what? She gets killed in this. That's right, the reason Mystique doesn't show up at the end of Days of Future Past is because she's dead. Which, of course, causes Hank to go completely out of character and say, it's all Charles's fault, it's all Charles's fault. And then he goes on a murderous revenge to try and kill Jean.
Even Magneto goes against Charles in this fucking movie.
Like, that's the thing about this movie. It feels like they're making this movie more so about Xavier than they are about Jean herself. And again, as I've stated before, was this really Xavier's fault? Like, do you really think he should have told the little young girl that not only did she accidentally kill her mother, but her father wanted nothing to do with her, considering how she reacted when she did find out the truth? Like, I get that he should have told her eventually, but for all we know, maybe he was waiting for the right time, and considering how Jean reacts, he kind of had a good reason to keep it secret from her. And that's the worst thing he did, was hide that. And that does not warrant what Jean does. Jean becomes an outright villain in this. I've talked about Mystique. I've talked about Xavier. Let's move on to the leading lady herself. Jean Grey in this movie is a mess. Okay, so for some plot-given reason, she has to hold the ship from the inside, even though we've established in previous movies that she could very well manipulate stuff from the outside. But hey, we gotta have our contrived reason to, have her have the Phoenix Force, even though she already had the flipping Phoenix Force in the previous movie. Well, not the previous movie, but the previous one written by Kinberg. Yeah, that's the thing. Kinberg really did not handle the making of this movie well. You'd think he remembers something from a movie he himself wrote, but I guess not.
I don't know. The only thing I can think of is that, considering he's a first-time director of this movie, I don't know, he probably just forgot.
I mean, he seems
So it's like D&D for the final season of Game of Thrones. Well, then he kind of forgot about the Iron Fleet.
I mean, it's like how he handled his work with Fan Forstick, only In some ways, I'd say this is even worse than Fan Four Stick. I mean, it made.
I disagree.
Hold
with
on,
that.
I said in some ways. I didn't say in all. Like, don't get me wrong, Fan Four Stick is probably still the worst superhero movie Fox has produced, seeing as how that was made just to keep the rights from falling into Disney's lap. Oops.
I'm not sure. Well, okay. I guess yes for what it represents, but otherwise I will say that Elektra may be the worst Fox superhero movie
Oh,
based on a Marvel property.
Tio, we don't talk about Elektra here for
Of course.
good reason. But yeah.
Uh,
The point is like, well, Dark Phoenix feels like such a massive step down in so many ways. But back to that movie in mind, yeah, Kimberg here, for as nice a guy as he is, man, does he really suck with the continuity. And that's not to say he hasn't sucked before continuity, but with here, it's the most egregious. Also, Magneto gets pulled into the action just because. Okay, yeah, Jean Grey comes to him for advice, but then she tries to kill people.
Piss off.
But then
Yeah.
she tries to kill people. Like,
for
okay,
no reason.
that is the major problem with this one. You think, oh, it's because she's overcome with the powers of the Phoenix Force and she's developed a split personality. You know, like almost every other incarnation of a Dark Phoenix. But no, everything Jean does is of her own volition. And it turns out at the end that all she needed was just a nap to get over the fact that Xavier, lied to her. Yeah, why don't you tell that to a kid whose parents are getting divorced? You just need a nap, it'll all feel better in the end. But yeah, Magneto gets dragged into this, and okay, I love how he says, I've learned to stop getting revenge on people because it just causes me stress. Only to then swear revenge on Jean after figuring out that, oh yeah, she killed Mystique, who Magneto may or may not have had a thing for in this continuity. It's very, very unclear. But yeah. Oh, yeah, speaking of which, I love how they try to make Xavier seem more like the bad guy by how when they first encourage Jean Grey, having them flank her like they're this incredibly intimidating force. Yeah, because that's the best way to. Also, gotta love how the X-Men lose support from the government just because of one house blowing up that didn't even have casualties except for one of their own. Like, I get the government turning on heroes, but there needs to be at least not even necessarily
Not
a
just
good
that,
reason
it's
to
not-
us.
You think, we're just disconnected the landline with the president, which I suppose fair enough. It may be a bit too paranoid, but it makes more sense for the American government. But no, like the immediately after the next sequence, they have the mutant containment unit restraining all of them.
Like, seriously, you know what this is like? This is like the Amazing Spider-Man 2 video game, where just because one little thing happens, immediately their lives become hell. And the worst part is that none of this is even properly resolved by the end. It doesn't
No.
even make sense.
Honestly, I'm not even sure if the mutant containment unit works for the United States government or not.
It's been long since established that the Mutant Containment Unit was part of that stupid rewrite for the train finale
Oh, I know,
scene.
but
yeah.
I don't know if they work for the U.S. government or are just mercenaries out of fucking nowhere.
Yeah, we don't know squat about that.
Maybe they're assumed by Stryker. Who knows?
Yeah, that's a thing. For...
Which actually reminds me of another thing. Not just Stryker. What happened to Moira McTaggart?
Yeah, that's another good thing. Moira, remember how we established how, she was falling back in love with Xavier at the end of Apocalypse?
She's completely absent in this movie.
Like, did they think we forget she existed? It's not like she could have just died from old age because, the last movie took place in the 80s and this is the 90s, so where the heck is Moira McTaggart? She has no bearing on the plot here. And she's supposed to be a CIA agent. If anything, she'd be a good allegory for Xavier to get in with the government at times being like this. Oh my god. Like, it's one thing to phrase a character, but to completely forget the character exists. Oh wait, that's right, they did the same thing with Jubilee. For no reason.
I mean, you could argue that at least Jubilee was a glory.
Wasn't available.
Not just that, you could argue that Jubilee was at least just a glorified cameo in the previous movie. So at least you can go with that. Moira, had an impact in the story, whether we like it or not. Remember, she's technically the one that awakens Apocalypse by accident. So...
Yeah, and she's Xavier's love interest, and again, the last thing we see was her getting her memories back, so what the hell, movie? You just leave Moira McTaggart out to dry? Oh god, like, again, it feels like such a sloppy end, but honestly, I don't think we can even blame the whole Disney buyout on stupid decisions like that. Like, whether or not Disney were buying Fox or whatnot, they apparently were having Moira McTaggart just be left out of the action for no reason.
Well, remember, this one originally was supposed to be not a final movie, but the first in a new trilogy, so...
So
I
what?
can imagine that the being the first at in the first draft would have been not every character coming back immediately and then just progressively showing up. The rewrites meant that some characters that were not present, like Mystique, did show up. That's why you got the complaints like for Jennifer Lawrence, for example.
Anyway, back to my final thoughts. Again, more negatives to cover. Let's talk about Vuk. Vuk was one of the... Okay, so... They literally chose a character who has had one comic book appearance. One single comic book appearance! And it's not even a character that really has much to do with the Phoenix Force in the first place. Like, it really feels like they just threw darts at a dartboard and landed on... Oh, Vuk? Yeah, let's use that character. What do you mean he's a man? We'll make him a woman. What do you mean he looks nothing like him? We'll just... Well, it's not like anyone will remember the Dabari. And well, I get it, you know? I mean, the MCU itself sort of did that with the Chitauri here. You know, seeing as how, well, the Chitauri were kind of... Not really something that were well established in the comics, if they were even a thing. But the thing is, like, well, the Chitauri were a big alien force that were used as pretty much the henchmen mooks for Avengers. Here, the Dabari are supposed to be the driving force, and we don't even really know much about them. Whether or not you've read the comics or anything, the Dabari are not well explained in this movie.
This is what baffles me. I get that you want the shape-shifting race, but the Skrulls are not able because Captain Marvel schooled them out. Thanks, I guess. But how about, like, you drop the shape-shifting angle and use the Shi'ar? They are pretty much the established alien characters that are featuring in the X-Men movies, in the X-Men stories in general. They should have been perfect. And the character of Gladiator is kind of fun. Imagine Superman if he was more of a dick and with an ego.
Yeah, like, you know, or, you know, use the actual race that were established with the Phoenix Force that showed up in the animated series, too. Like, you know, they were a lot of fun to work with. I mean, it's like people seem to forget. Yes, part of the complaints about the Phoenix Force in X-Men For the Last Stand was that aliens weren't involved, but that's the thing, though. The X-Men trilogy in the original was more grounded. So, I can actually respect why they just had the Phoenix Force be a split personality of Jean Grey's powers, which, and mind you, it worked there, because Jean Grey is pretty much a powerhouse of a lottery round of powers, so I wouldn't mind the Phoenix being this alternate personality, because you know what? The Phoenix is supposed to be another personality. The Phoenix in this movie never speaks, even though it's clearly a thing, as established by the end it being a bird. And by the way, why do we never call it the Phoenix Force, even though, you know, the movie is called Dark Phoenix, and even though we've actually called the Phoenix Force sort of by its name in Apocalypse, so... Yeah, I thought we dropped these habits after the original trilogy ended, but nope. It's just they're vague as possible of what the Phoenix Force actually is, and that leads to problems. See, Jean Grey normally has it be a split personality that she has trouble controlling, but here, everything's done on her own volition. So when she kills people, she's doing that all on her own here. I mean, you do realize this kind of makes her a bit of a, well, I guess maybe not a Karma Houdini, because supposedly she dies at the end.
But she still doesn't, because she shows up in that stinger in Days of Future Past.
Which is, again, another continuity flub here, because at the end of this movie, Xavier apparently retires. And isn't that nice how he makes Hank the head of the school? Now, don't get me wrong. I normally would like Hank being the head of the school. But here's the problem. In that school, you're supposed to deal with students who can't control their powers. Hank tried to kill Jean out of vengeance because she couldn't control her powers well, and accidentally killed Mystique. I get that it's supposed to suggest that Hank is now past that, but maybe they could have given it a bit more time. Just saying, it's very jarring. And also, even though Xavier supposedly retires, why is he back at the Xavier Institute, supposedly being referred to as the headmaster again? Oops. Also, that must have been a very awkward talk that Xavier had with Wolverine. Yes, Wolverine. Also, by the way, my sister is dead. Killed by Jean, in fact. You know that very Phoenix that you mentioned before in your past timeline? Oh yeah, she's back now, but it's okay, she had her nap and she's back now. Awkward. Oh. And speaking of... I mentioned earlier how it seemed like Jennifer Lawrence didn't want to be here. Let's talk about the other person who probably didn't want to be here, Michael Eisner. Man, poor Michael Eisner, he gives it his all. But he clearly does not want to be here. Though, props to that one scene where he looks like he needs to take a crap when he's trying to keep
You mean
Jean.
Fassbender drove a van?
Yeah, oh god, yeah, Fassbender. My bad. This movie. But yeah, he's so... I'm willing to bet he's the guy who was mentioned as walking off set. Probably after that stupid scene where he says, "It's always a speech, Charles! Nobody cares anymore!" Like, that's the problem with this movie in general. It feels like a movie that's trying to think outside the box. Trying to be all, oh, look at us, we're pointing out the flaws of this franchise and throwing it back in its face. Only it just comes off as awkward and embarrassing more so. It's just, it feels so joyless here and there. Yes, there's technically triumph, but at what cost, man? At what cost? The music isn't even good. There, I think I'm just about done with this movie.
Alright, I'll go next then, and I'll do the same as Jova with my retrospective, quote-unquote, but I'll try to be more condensed. First X-Men movie. A decent start. It is effectively what saved Marvel, kept saving Marvel from bankruptcy back then. Remember, they were still in a terrible time before the Disney buyout. There's a reason why it happened.
Yeah.
So it has an importance, but it has an age, unfortunately, in the more spectacular way. But it's still important for what it represents and for the actors involved, particularly, of course, Hugh Jackman. So there is that. X2 and 3, I'm sorry, no, I can't do that. They're still better than, say, Origins Wolverine, of course, by miles. But they're just, honestly, they feel so...
boring?
They are the ones that also aged terribly to me. Like, particularly X3. X3 has the only thing that I actually like in X3 is that single moment where they reference the Juggernaut bitch meme. And even then, it's kind of out of nowhere. The internet culture was still very young around these days. It was incredibly rare to see a director wanting to acknowledge an internet meme like that.
That's Brett Ratner for you.
But yeah, that's what X3 is worth. An outdated meme. There you have it. X-Men Origins Wolverine takes the cake of being the worst of the X-Men movies, unfortunately. It is just horrible on all the level. It is fun to make fun of, that's for sure. But doesn't save him from being a colossal disaster for everyone involved. I really feel sorry for you, Jackman.
Yeah.
The First Class is my favorite. But I will have some reserves on that one, too. Sebastian Shaw is a good idea for a villain, but like I said, I didn't agree on the choice of wanting to look different because the comic book design was apparently so bad to use when, quite honestly, he's actually one of the more tame in design compared to the other X-Men characters. But honestly, it's the one that functions the most and has the less problems, so kudos to that. And managed to function even without Wolverine, just a single cameo that doesn't do harm to everyone. Days of Future Past is a difficult movie, but is what the franchise was needing at the moment, unfortunately. It is a transition movie. Wolverine is a huge part of it. and it serves to clean the slate.
Hey,
So,
speaking of Wolverine, what about the Wolverine?
That comes. Oh, actually, yeah, that went before that. Like I said, the Wolverine is probably the best of the Wolverine solo trilogy movie. But honestly, still not enough to convince me. Honestly, when you really get down to it, it really feels pointless. It is a nice pointless deviation, but pointless nonetheless. All the elements that alter, quote unquote, the status quo in that movie, Wolverine losing his metal claws and gaining, a Japanese sidekick, are completely forgotten by Days of Future Past. Even if you character say, these things got the metal claws got recoated off screen, and Yukio just went to do her own thing. By that, it still proves that you don't have to watch the Wolverine to skip and skip directly to Days of Future Past.
Especially when Yukio finally comes back, she's a completely
But
different
I will say
Yukio.
this. For the Wolverine, I kind of like some of the imagery, particularly in the last third, where it really starts to feel a lot like Frank Miller's original idea. You can clearly see the inspiration behind that. So there's that. Although those one-liners, like Wolverine saying, "He wanted me to say goodbye, sayonara." Jesus Christ, Frank. Days of Future Past, like you said, is a necessary, but difficult but necessary movie. I will say that it's not too enthusiastic to watch, and the Sentinel design, the Hoover design, as we've said, is just. I'm not that big of a fan of. Honestly, they need to look like giant robots, so why not stick into the original design anyway?
Especially when X-Men 3 managed to do that, damn it.
Just be glad when you had to do stuff like Nimrod or Omega Sentinel. You know?
Oh, yeah.
Those are actually more complicated as a result. Then comes Apocalypse. Apocalypse, like I said, is a mess of a movie. But I will say this, aside from my final thoughts related to that movie, Apocalypse could function as a nice conclusion on its own. If you exclude the Dark Phoenix and potentially also Logan, but Logan is another story that I'm about to tell. If you turn to exclude Dark Phoenix, the way Apocalypse ends, it is a nice conclusion. Sure, you have the stinger about Mr. Sinister that will never be finished, but the movie concludes with Mystique forming the new young X team, with the Danger Room being colluded, and Charles, now bald, starting. It honestly, it feels perfect as a transition, ending the First Class saga, but unfortunately, it doesn't end like that. Logan, I already expressed what I need to do in my final thoughts, so I'll be extremely short. It is, obviously, it's leagues better than X-Men Origins, and as I send off to you, Jackman, but I think it should have been told in a better way. Although I honestly know where they come from due to the fact they needed to adapt a story where they didn't have the rights to 75% of the characters involved in it, unfortunately. So I can understand where Fox was coming from. I just wish they had a better way to do it still. And now it all comes down to this Dark Phoenix. Honestly, I'm almost with the opinion that after the buyout, Disney should have quietly canceled this movie as well. Not in a sense that it should have fired all the actors, directors, and stuff like that. It would have been cruel, I guess. But keep in mind, this movie does more damage than anything.
Yeah.
Like I said, just take the end of Apocalypse on its own, and it functions perfectly fine. But this movie, due to the plot holes that it causes from just the mere absence of characters, like Moira McTaggart, like I said, but also the actions that it has in it causes more damage to the big picture as a result of it, and the people involved knew that this was how the franchise would have ended. Yes, we know that there's still the new Mutants coming out supposedly, but it's. I'm not sure if they're going to turn that into another conclusion. Hell, people are suspicious it's still going to come out to begin with, especially considering 2020. Well, no, okay, it's not super crowded in terms of the MCU. We have Black Widow and the Eternals, for the two movies, and only like the first batch of the Disney Plus series. So, technically speaking, it is a good climate, I guess, to release New Mutants, but still, I don't know. I will say this. To be in good faith, instead of rewatching this franchise as a whole, put me in a good mood, I'll probably actually gonna see it in theaters just for shits and giggles to see what happens with it. But yeah, as a whole, this franchise is just a mess, a noble mess that started with the most positive intentions and then helped. Marvel keeping out of bankruptcy as well, so I commend that. But unfortunately, couldn't keep up the momentum, and then a difficult subject to deal with without a proper Kevin Feige-like figure, unfortunately. So now that it's over, it is kind of sad considering all the actors that benefited from it and had created iconic roles for care from fans that still love it to this day. Believe it or not, I know a couple of people that actually prefer this movie series to the MCU and think it has a more dignity, quote unquote, compared to the MCU. I don't agree completely with them, but at least they start sort of kind of to see where it comes from. It's similar to what Dave was saying about his worries about the mutants in the MCU, the fact that there is a way these movie series treats humor and drama and seriousness compared to how the MCU deals with those themes. So I can understand if some people are more attached to this. But to go back briefly to Dark Phoenix, one thing which I didn't mention, but I also noticed, is the fact that just like Dark Lord Shadow pointed out, the X-Men barely feel in their own movie. They're very present in their own movie. Maybe that's also the reason why they cut away the X-Men in the title for the US release. I don't know. Nightcrawler, Storm, and Quicksilver are pretty much pointless in this movie. Yes, the Storm is a bit as one line at the funeral of Mystique, and contributes to the final battle, same as Nightcrawler, but they are completely pointless. And Quicksilver is the one that gets dropped big time. And it's a shame considering it was the selling point for Days of Future Past and Apocalypse. So what the fuck happened? I don't know.
AKA we just wanted to job him out so that he wouldn't be able to help out.
I will say this. I kind of like the fact that on the train scene, Nightcrawler used a knife similar to how his character for some time became a pirate. Yes, that's the thing that happened. So he was using a cutlass. It's sort of a throwback to that. So that's nice. But honestly, almost everything that happens in Dark Phoenix is just hurtful and damaging. And that mutant containment unit thing, again, I'm confused. Part of me should be laughing my ass out. The other feels that these guys are super petty and wanted to take a last minute jab at it. So congratulations, movie. You made me confused on how to react to you. But yeah, that's it. It's kind of a sad conclusion to this. If you haven't seen it, go watch Dark Lord Shadow's one's clipless review of the movie. It uses Sentai and Kamen Rider action figures as props for recreating scene of a movie, so props to the effort as well. But it does pretty much conveys my thoughts entirely on the story and everything. Not to mention the one minor thing also, as he pointed out, the movie wastes his F-bomb on a throwaway line from Cyclops.
Oh, right, I forgot about that. It's so forgettable.
Nitpick, I know, but compared to what Hugh Jackman had done in First Class and then he was incorporated in Future Past, it kind of feels kind of like a shame. So there's that. But yeah, this was just a mess, honestly, through and through. Not for me. I will still say that Fan 4 Stick and Electra are obviously worse superhero movies shitted out by Fox. Unfortunately, that doesn't say much. It doesn't say much. Their all curriculum is not stellar as it should be. Keep in mind, nor did the MCU at its first phase. For the most part, like most of the initial movies of the MCU either were not great to begin with or did not age well in years. Try to rewatch some of those again to this day. you will find out what the truth lies beyond. But
Or check out some
for
of our
this one,
commentaries of those too.
yeah, we're getting there. As for this, sorry, this is just a terrible way to end things up. I mean, at least it's happy that the actors and directors, managed to get their money in some, at least at the end of the day. Yes, they didn't recoup them, but at least they got paid for doing their job. So the silver lining, I suppose. But yeah, that's how things end. Well, not for us entirely. First, Dweebs, your final thoughts?
You know, this is. I don't think this is the worst X-Men movie, but I will say that it's definitely the most disappointing, especially the surrounding, not just this, but in life. I don't think the Fox Disney deal, even though Disney didn't have any real direct in this film, was really helping matters.
But we can't blame it for how this turned out. Fox have no one to blame but themselves, really. Like, the fact that they wanted to do a Dark Phoenix...
Yeah, I mean, this was, whether the making still, the deal was still being bound, getting approval on that and everything. There was nothing Fox could do on that. Just wait, Disney to. Back to the movie. There are some good things in this movie. I mean, I do like the train fight, considering how creative their powers are used. The performances, even though there is still a sense of they don't want to be there, they still do give their all. I mean, it's not like this film was Wesley Snipes and Trinity's for it. And I do legitimately believe that Simon Kimber is trying something here. Unfortunately, it didn't work out, which leads me to the negatives.
Yeah.
Honestly, Hans Zimmer's score is just the same drony stuff that he does. Also, again, I've praised the trade scene, but a lot of other stuff here is just either not handled well, or it's just or it's just too hilarious to be taken seriously. Puppet walk. This series problem maintaining continuity. It's all kind of keep consistent with the very previous movie. Kimberg also codes, it's just odd. It's like, you'd think he'd have a Blu-ray copy on hand, or he could have asked Fox for a copy if he couldn't remember stuff. It is kind of, again, I am gonna miss the there are some things of this continuity that I am gonna miss. I'm gonna miss the sets. I'm gonna miss the actors, except Ryan Reynolds, but they'll probably keep him on.
Yeah, it's already confirmed they're doing that.
Even with stuff like Endgame and that, I still do have my concern of how the MCU are gonna have the X. Because there were a couple of times where something that was supposed to be serious was brushed off as a running gag. I'm not saying it's for all the MCU, been done quite often. And I can't, and X-Men's really a series I don't think can really get away with much. It's not like Guardians of the Galaxy, where it's a space, it's a silly space flick, so you kind of supposed to play up some stuff laughs, but with X-Men I can't really see how you get that.
Basically, with X-Men, there's a time and place to have comedy. Basically, don't put comedy during the part with, the obvious racist tones.
Yeah, like don't have Magneto doing a really big speech and then just have someone make fun of his helmet.
Yeah.
That's really dodgy. So yeah, that's both my final thoughts on this movie and my
my brief concerns of what my brief concerns, but also a little bit of hope, because I mean the MCU has made good movies. Deny that. Might have a problem with its tone sometimes, but I won't deny they have made good stuff. So fingers crossed, they will do some good stuff with the X-Men. Not that much. I'm a pessimist, much anyway. But yeah, this movie, it was such a letdown for me, and it only really escapes being worse than X-Men Origins. This movie does have a few things. Origins only had like jokes. Yeah, and I will still defend quite a lot about most of the X-Men movies. Okay, there are people that do have legitimate gripes about the X-Men movies, and I understand those. The ones I don't really understand are well, I'll go for the simple one first. Ones I just hated just because it's not the MCU. That's the single most pettiest one, and I'm just gonna push that off. There's also the one that stuff got changed in adaptation, and I understand some people. I understand those who thought they didn't necessarily might not have changed it for the better, but there's also that, well, thankfully, much smaller contingent that were just like, oh, they changed it at all. No, man, we have to change some stuff so it will fit the media film. So, yeah. And like I said before, I think some of the better films in this one are better than most MCU films. You know what I mean? In terms of I'll watch Logan. I'll watch Logan. Say you gave me a choice between in terms of films that came out in 2017. If you told me either Guardians Volume 2, Logan, I'd pick Logan. And so on and so on. I'm not saying that for every film. Again, it's like we said, the series has the highest of highs, but it also has. I mean, it's not as bad as Van Stick.
When it comes to being the highest of highs, I'd say the MCU still does have at least one or two highs over them. Endgame.
Well, that's the thing, Joven. It was it was a high, but also some deliberate lows in the film because the situation the characters were in.
Not just that, there was also a build up to that.
Yeah.
Well, 10 years of build up.
Well, it is kind of again a testament to how the X-Men films have that continuity problem, because when they try and do build up, it doesn't always work out the best because they kind of just blatantly ignore stuff that they themselves have established.
So overall, I'm probably the biggest X-Men film defender out of us. Well, actually, another thing. I won't go on too long. I do think the best ones have a better handle of tone than some MCU ones, I feel, because sometimes the MCU ones can lean a bit too heavily into the jokes.
Yeah, not gonna argue with you on that one. Bathos was a thing with some of the earlier phases, and even to phase 3.
Yeah. So the X-Men film does some stuff better than the MCU. The MCU stuff better than the X-Men. So, and I think they're both Marvel P's.
Well, here's to something that the MCU can do the X-Men films justice.
So we'll give it 10 years. We'll see how it goes then.
And that was Dark Phoenix, and the end supposed from the Mutants series of Fox. So, well, we aren't exactly done yet, right, Dweebs?
Well, no, not exactly. We've got 3 more movies to do, 2 of which are definitely out. and one of which will probably get shifted around by Disney again at this point.
Dude,
So,
don't you mean 3 of which are out?
Well, 2.5.
Yeah, let's call it 2.5.
Okay, so join us in the future when we bring in Shiroi for the Deadpool movies.
And then even
And,
later into the future, when we delve into the horror story, yeah, it's literally genre as a horror story, that is, Twibs,
New Mutants.
the film that's been in development hell.
I mean, Dweebs, do you actually plan to see that on cinema too?
Yes.
Okay, if you do, we definitely need to do a first impression,
Yeah.
pot.
Hell yeah.
Well, overall, New Mutants is going to be the final one made outside of the Fox verse of X-Men films.
Not gonna
Yeah.
lie, if New Mutants manages to actually be good, I will take my hat off to them, because from what we've heard about that movie, it is looking like a mess.
As well. But anyway, see you, I guess, for that.
See you then.